right. Thank you, Double A. Appreciate that. And, well, we've lost most of our audience for good reason. There's a nationwide race about to take place here on the 3/4 mile Richmond International Raceway. And for that, we go inside to Krista Voda.
Thanks, Steve. We are happy to be a part of this special edition of Trackside. It's a track everyone loves, and we are happy to join the fun. Yes, the crowd is definitely building. The cars on the grid. We are ready to race. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Nationwide Series Racing on Speed. I'm Krista Voda. Do not adjust your television. We are not talking flatbeds tonight. Rather, flat out Friday night fanatics. This one has the potential to be very big. We actually have what could be a David versus Goliath battle brewing. Now, last week, some of the big names were in Nashville racing in the Nationwide Series. Names like Kyle Busch, Joey Logano, Austin Dillon was in the field as well. But the most recent series winner, Carl Edwards, he is in this field tonight. He is the one who picked up the Sam Bass Custom Gibson guitar. He is actually auctioning off that guitar. Such a nice guy. He will not be Mr. Nice Guy on the track tonight. He is trying to win a 4th nationwide race at Richmond, and he'll do so, if he can, from the pole. But Carl is the only winner this year who is in the field tonight, meaning the door has been cracked open for series regulars like Justin Allgaier. The current points leader is the last Nationwide Series regular to win, and it was on a short track. He won at Bristol last year. Okay, so he's the points leader, but this thing is so tight. He is actually tied with Ricky Stenhouse. Allgaier gets the nod due to second place finishes. Turner Motorsports drivers own 3 of the top 4 spots. Speaking of keeping things close, the top 7 only separated by 7. Unbelievable. But Ray, points not the only story tonight.
Absolutely not, Krista. Carl Edwards on the pole, and I'll tell you, 10 other drivers have won this race from the pole, but you have no Kevin Harvick and no Kyle Busch tonight. So, Carl, I'm wondering if you've sized up the rest of the competition. Who's going to give you the best run for your money tonight here in Richmond?
That's going to be Denny Hamlin. I mean, you know, he's unbelievable here. He's very fast. It's a home track for him. And I know he had his problem in qualifying, but that's probably just motivation for him. So he's going to be tough. We got all the folks from Fastenal here. They're all excited. We're on the pole. We got a fast Mustang, and I think we're going to have something for him. I think this car's going to be really, really good.
All right, Roush Fenway has won 9 times here at Richmond. Carl Edwards hoping to make it 10. Hermie?
Well, Ray, there's the right rear quarter panel of Denny Hamlin's Sport Clips Toyota, and it looked like he was on a pole run coming off turn 4, got into the fence. You will start 11th. Carl Edwards says you're the man he's going to have to beat to win this race tonight, and I know you can never win too much here at Richmond.
Carl is a pitiful poker player. I will say that because his car was very, very strong in practice. He had the best car in practice, and so we're just see what we got. We're working on the Sport Clips car. I worked on it a little bit during qualifying. We were able to tape it up and stuff, so we don't know exactly where it's at until we get to first pit stop.
Well, Denny Hamlin will start 11th, but don't look for him to stay there for long. Krista?
So we may have a crazy game of poker lining up according to Hamlin and Edwards. Hamlin loves this track, and he loves his hometown fans. He, of course, will probably be a guy the boys upstairs will be mentioning quite a bit tonight. That would be Rick Allen, Michael Waltrip, and Darrell Waltrip. Yes, not 1, but 2 Waltrips tonight. And, gentlemen, opportunity, a word we're hearing a lot of.
Yeah, and we're excited about this race, too, Chris. It's going to be a lot of fun, obviously, racing short track under the lights. Now, we heard already Carl Edwards is a name that everybody's talking about. Texas, he won the pole in the race. Last week, he won at Nashville in dominating fashion. He's already on the pole. Who can and can they beat him tonight here at Richmond?
Well, you know, one thing about the nighttime is the right time, and tonight is the right night for these nationwide regulars. 7 of the top 10 qualifiers are nationwide regulars. If you're going to pounce Carl Edwards, if you're going to get him, you better get him tonight, and I think somebody will.
We talk about this being a short track, but, Michael, it's really a short track on steroids.
It's on the big end of short, that's for sure. These guys will be running over 150 miles an hour when they get down into turn 1. A lot's going on. Sparks will be flying from the car bottoming out. Brakes will be glowing. They'll be 3 wide at times. So while it is a short track, and that's how most of these guys grew up, there's a lot of speed to deal with, so they're going to have to be careful about that.
2 and 3 wide racing, and always fun under the lights at Richmond, the action track, Kristen.
Yeah, thanks a lot. We are so excited to be broadcasting this race, and we have so many storylines. Of course, when it comes to news, one of the big storylines, one of the big headlines, Mother Nature. 2 weeks ago, we were racing in Talladega. Over the weekend, much of that area and much of the South digging out from tornadoes that leveled towns, killing hundreds. One of our own drivers, Eric McClure, was in one of those storms in his hometown of Abington, Virginia. McClure's family is safe, but their home is destroyed. He just got to the racetrack around midnight last night. He didn't know if he would even come, but an insurance adjuster having to assess the damage. His family is safe. And he also said so many people have it so much worse. If you want to help, here is some information. NASCAR.com/unites. The NASCAR family is made up of people from all across the country. We encourage you to get involved. And our thoughts, of course, are with those suffering across the country. We are just scratching the surface. A lot more here in Richmond next. An absolutely beautiful night for racing, and that would be NASCAR Nationwide Series racing on speed. This is a racetrack that every single driver loves. You would be hard-pressed to find a driver who doesn't have glowing words for Richmond International Raceway. Welcome back inside. Drivers starting to arrive at their race cars, getting ready to go. And did you know that in the last 6 Richmond Spring races, we have seen 6 different winners? I hate to keep using the word opportunity, but we know that a lot of these young guys have opportunities tonight. We've talked about some of the heavy hitters like Carl Edwards and Denny Hamlin. Who else are we watching tonight, Ray?
I'll be watching Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's going to roll his number 6 car off in 9th position tonight, but he's got a little note for his good friend and fellow driver, Trevor Bayne. Trevor is not here tonight, and Ricky says, get well, Trevor, and that also comes from all of us right here tonight on Speed. Hermie?
Ray, the last driver to break through and get rid of the dominance of the Sprint Cup Series drivers in the Nationwide Series is Justin Allgaier last year at Bristol. He's looking to break through again tonight and win in Richmond. Krista?
And we haven't even mentioned guys like Jason Leffler, Eric Almirola. Sam Hornish is alongside on the front row. We have a lot of big storylines tonight, Steve.
All right, thank you, Krista Voda. There's always beautiful sunsets here prior to the night races at the Richmond International Raceway. However, when the lights come on, the action heats up. There's a look at what's coming your way here on Speed. It's the Bubba Burger 250, followed by Speed Center, and then another edition of Trackside. Nationwide Racing is next.
Nice guys have their place. They're there to hold the door, make you warm on a chilly day, keep you company. Sweet, sensitive. They might even bring you flowers. And then there are the alpha dogs, born leaders, cowboys, rebels. Call them old dogs, new dogs, or big dogs. As long as you know they're the top dogs, leading the pack. And they're ready for a Friday night fight. Under the lights at a track with as much bite as bark.
They're wheel to wheel, coming down the back straightaway.
When you cram 43 front runners into a place with little room to maneuver and even less for mistakes, fireworks fly.
8 car on the side. Battle for the lead is side by side.
Brad's the defending spring champ.
Keselowski will win at Richmond.
Will the double dippers continue to hog victory lane? Or does a full-timer taste victory for the first time this year? Nice guys finish last. So who finishes first? There's only one way to find out.
Short track racing is where nearly every driver gets his or her start. Tonight, some of the best in the business return to their roots at a track everyone loves. Anything goes, and here it goes pretty darn fast. It's the Bubba Burger 250 on Speed, presented by Nationwide Insurance. And it's not just the smell of Bubba Burgers in the air, it's excitement as Speed gets the nod to bring you one of the best events of the year. And what a beautiful night for racing. Now, we know many of our viewers are affected by or know those affected by Mother Nature. We are thinking of you, and we hope this race brings you some sort of relief, even if slight, from all the destruction. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Nationwide Series, Racing on Speed. This is a huge night for all those of us on Speed, a huge night for these drivers. You know, the day started with the whole world watching a fairy tale. Tonight, we could have a fairy tale finish of our own. A little bit of history possibly being made as we have the opportunity. The window is open for one of these young drivers to crawl through. Ray Dunlap and Hermie Sadler are working the pits tonight. Ray, start us off.
Well, Krista, when you look at the record book, 6 out of the last 11 races here at this track have been won by Kevin Harvick or Kyle Busch. But guess what? Neither of them are in the field tonight. So scratch them off of your list. So who are you going to root for? Well, Carl Edwards is on the pole. He's probably a long shot. But how about this guy? Brad Keselowski has had 4 consecutive top 5s at this racetrack, including that big win a year ago. I'm putting my money on 22. How about you, Hermie?
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. shocked us today in qualifying. Qualified P2, his best ever start in the Nationwide Series. His best career finish is 11th. He's looking to improve on that tonight.
There have been 4 winners in 8 races this year in the Nationwide Series. Only 1 is in the field tonight. Let's stay down trackside for the opening ceremonies.
Please rise and remove your hats as the United States Armed Forces Color Guard from Fort Lee, Virginia, presents our nation's colors. Please welcome Reverend Joe Ellison of the Essex Village Community Church as he offers tonight's invocation.
Let us pray. Eternal Father, we thank you tonight. We thank you for the sport that we love so much, NASCAR. We thank you for every driver. We thank you for their families tonight. God, thank you for the weather that you provided for us. And Lord, let us not forget our men and women who serve in the military across the country and around the world. Keep them safe, Lord. In the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, in Jesus' name we pray, amen.
And now, here to perform our national anthem, please welcome 10-year-old country music singer-songwriter Alana Springsteen.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's hear.
In the field tonight, drivers ranging in age from 18 to 69, cousins, brothers, uncles, champions, rookies, even a NASCAR debut. Every driver has a story. You will hear them tonight. More from Speed's presentation of Nationwide Series racing in Richmond. Big stars, young guns, all trying to end their night in victory lane. You will see it start to finish right here on Speed. What a beautiful night for racing at Richmond International Raceway. The crowd is fired up, and so are these drivers. Let's take a look at our points. This points battle, talk about crazy. It's been a seesaw every single week. Another new leader yet again. Justin Allgaier takes his turn atop the standings. The top 7 drivers are only separated by 7 points. So we've mentioned that we've got some big guns in the field. Carl Edwards, Denny Hamlin. We haven't even talked about Brad Keselowski. He's a former winner here. But there's also some maybe unfamiliar names or some surprises who've won at this track, like Kenny Wallace, Joe Nemechek, 69-year-old Morgan Shepherd. But But let's tell you some of the other reasons to keep your eye on this race tonight. No Kyle, no Kevin. So opportunity is knocking for some of these young drivers. One of those drivers could be Chris Buescher, only 18 years old. He is making his NASCAR debut, substituting for Trevor Bayne. Trevor Bayne awaiting medical tests after symptoms still possibly lingering from an insect bite earlier this month. Also, as we mentioned, that points battle, it is so tight. The top 7 separated by just 7 points. Justin Allgaier is your current points leader, but this is truly anyone's game. Carl Edwards said Denny Hamlin is his biggest competition. Denny Hamlin said Carl Edwards is a pitiful poker player. That's how we started the show. How are we going to end it? These drivers are ready to go, but they can't do anything until they start their engines. Let's go for the famous words.
Race fans, are you ready? It's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome creator of the famous Bubba Burger, Walter Bubba Eves, as he gives the command.
Gentlemen, let's start your engine and get it on.
So he ended, gentlemen, start your engines with, let's get it on. That's what these drivers are ready to do. You know, it was on this day, it would have been our racing royalty, Dale Earnhardt Sr.'s 60th birthday. We had a lot of royalty going on with that royal wedding today, but we also know Rick, Daryl, Michael, history could be in the making. You can hear it in some of these guys' voices. They know something special is potentially about to happen. Do we see history tonight?
Well, I think we do tonight, Krista, and I think it's very exciting that we're here on Speed for the nationwide race from Richmond. Now, we're talking about potential upsets, regulars upsetting Denny Hamlin, Carl Edwards. What's the strategy that it's going to take?
I think communication. You got to work your hands and not your mouth. You got to get in, tell your crew chief what your car is doing so he can adjust it for you. You only have a limited number of pit stops, so you got to have a good strategy in the pits. When to use those tires. Tire management. That's going to be a huge part of this race tonight.
Tire management, I like anger management. Man, the quarters are tight. There's going to be beating and banging. These guys are going to be all over one another. Lose your cool, you might lose your chance to win the race. Also, communication, like Daryl said, how are you going to say what you need to say to your crew chief in a hurry and have him hear you? It's loud. You got just a little bit of time to talk on the straightaway, then you got to get busy for the corner. So I need to be cool tonight. That's how I'm going to win the race.
I like management. The management that decided that we could do this race. I'm very happy.
Let's get it on. What do you say?
Starting grid will roll across the top of the screen. Again, we talk about Carl Edwards setting the pace. Sam Hornish Jr. will start on his outside. Those two make up row number 1. Take a look at our nationwide track description and race analysis. Guys, we talk about a unique racetrack. There are the numbers.
Yeah, this track is so much fun, Rick. I raced on it last night in Denny's race. And Daryl, you just carry so much speed down into the corner, but darn, it's a tight left. You've got to get busy to make that left.
It's very deceiving. Turn 1 is a big sweeper, and you can get 3 or 4 wide here through the trioval here at the start-finish line. But when you get down to turn 1, it's like a funnel, and you got to give the guy some room or you're going to wreck.
Wide racing surface, always good for short track racing because a lot of guys will fight for that real estate here on this racetrack. Want to take a look at our speed spotlight tonight. We shine a spotlight on a few different drivers. We'll begin with Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. You know, back in 2001, ML Motorsports almost hired David Stremme. But Stremme got an opportunity to go to the ASA Series and compete with a championship caliber team. He chose that ride that day, but all of a sudden, full circle, here he is driving for ML Motorsports tonight here at Richmond. They'll roll off number 19th today. Stremme's got 100 short track wins and an ASA championship and a Rookie of the Year title in this series. Right now, though, they're just building on the future. Hermie?
Well, Ray, Brian Scott came to the Nationwide Series this year with equipment from Joe Gibbs Racing with a lot of high expectations. So far, he has not gotten the finishes he wants, needs, or deserves. Well, tonight he qualified 3rd here at Richmond, and he's looking to turn his season around. He knows he's got the talent, he knows he's got the potential, but he also knows the only thing that matters are the results. He's looking to get that tonight. Krista?
Hermie starting right alongside Brian Scott. In the 4th position, Eric Almirola. In practice today, he was very quick, but he also said his car went from tight to loose often. So he's not quite sure what the balance is, but he knows he has a strong car. He knows he has a strong team. Eric Almirola could be one of those guys to sneak in and steal the win tonight. Michael?
I want to shine my light on Reed Sorensen. Everybody in this race tonight wants to make it the Cup. Reed wants to make it back there. Back in 2005 as a young NASCAR Nationwide Series rookie, he finished 4th in the point standings. That finish vaulted him into Cup. He had a couple of very successful years in Cup, but then 3 that weren't so good. Where'd he land? Right back here in the Nationwide Series. But Reed knows winning the point championship in 2011 could wind him back up in Cup in 12, Darrell.
Yeah, I really am a big fan of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. I like this kid. He's from Olive Branch, Mississippi. You know, Jack Roush did an interesting thing. He benched this kid because he was wrecking too much. When the kid came back and got in the car, the first thing he did was reward Jack with a 3rd place finish at Daytona. And guess what? Ever since then, he has had 1 DNF in the last 28 starts. He's had 10. He's finished 8th in the last 10. He's finished top 10 in the last 8 races. I'll get it right in a minute. And he's doing a great job, and I think what Jack did with him was the right thing to do. This kid has got championship written all over him.
Got a very big stable here with Carl Edwards leading that crew. We ride along with a few different drivers, one of those being Elliott Sadler. Tonight he'll start in the 18th spot. Jason Leffler carries one of our cameras. He starts 16th tonight. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., we talked about him potentially getting that big win here on the short track. He'll start 9th tonight. And a guy with 3 wins at this racetrack, very successful here in Richmond, is Kenny Wallace, and he will start 7th tonight.
When you talk about Kenny Wallace, you want to talk about the early 90s. He won 3 times in a row here. 94, 95, and 96. Kenny Wallace drove to victory lane. You watch him here, he roughs up old David Green and drives around him and drives off to the checkered flag.
Michael, he is a race car driver. He tells us that all the time. And he's hit the refresh button, and this year he's got a great car, good team, and he's getting a lot out of it.
It's a lot of fun also to see the enthusiasm. Kenny's getting on up there in years like me and you know, but yet he still has that drive, that desire to be a part of the story. And he tells us that every week.
I heard Kurt Busch say there that Kenny Wallace inspires him to have a good attitude.
41 cars all in line, 2 by 2, stacked up behind the 60 of Carl Edwards and the 12 of Sam Hornish Jr. Coming out of turn number 4. We are underway with Nationwide Racing on speed.
Check out that start by Brian Scott. He was all over Carl Edwards' bumper as they went down into turn 1.
Here comes Justin Allgaier. He settles into 3rd, just in front of Sam Hornish Jr. Didn't have the start he was looking for. That's Eric Almirola on the outside now of Kenny Wallace. Those two battling for 5th, right behind the 12 of Sam Hornish.
Got to watch these cars when they're all bottled up like this. You're on low air pressure. Car moves around a little bit more. Don't want to get into somebody early in the race and cause a wreck.
And that's what Kenny Wallace is threatening with doing right there, Darrell. He slid up a little bit in the middle of turn 1 and 2 there, giving Almirola a good run off that corner, but Kenny's fighting back on the inside. Look at that, side by side.
Kenny Wallace holding his ground. Eric Almirola still trying to complete the pass on the high side. We know that the racing groove is going to move up the racetrack as they continue to put rubber down, but we're only on lap number 3 of this race.
Well, when you're on new tires like we are right now, that's when you got max grip. You can hang that bottom, but as the tires wear a little bit, you're going to have to find another groove.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the inside. He's trying to make the pass on Eric Almirola. Right behind him, Denny Hamlin in the 20. Slapped the wall coming out of turn number 4 in his qualifying effort. That's why he didn't have as good of a qualifying effort as he thought he was going to, but they didn't make any adjustments to that car. That's why he was able to hold his starting position.
And that really surprised me because they had significant damage to the right side of that car, but I guess they looked it over and said it's good enough to race.
Almirola tucks in behind the 20 now. Denny Hamlin got by him. Kelly Byers in the 18, just behind that 88.
That'll be a fun story to follow tonight. Kyle Busch has had so much success in that 18 car. Kelly Byers jumps in. It'll be interesting to see what he can do with it. Looking good early in the going.
Edwards has a half a second lead over Brian Scott. Sam Hornish Jr. is just over a second behind our leader, Carl Edwards.
Sometimes, you know, people say, is it the car, is it the driver? That's what I like about short tracks. It sort of takes the car out of the equation. You got to have a good handling car, but you got to be a wheel man when you get on these little racetracks.
How about Paul Menard looking to the outside right now of Brad Keselowski, trying to take that spot away as we see Joe Nemechek shove the front end up underneath Paul Menard.
Front row Joe.
There are great stories all over this racetrack. A battle between the young Paul Menard and the veteran Joe Nemechek. Both of them running solidly right outside of the top 10.
So it's Edwards, Brian Scott, Sam Hornish Jr., Justin Allgaier, and Kenny Wallace. They're your top 5.
Right behind the battle there between Nemechek and Menard rides Mike Bliss, another veteran of the series.
Menard he was really excited about coming to Richmond. It has not been one of his best racetracks. He's in a good car tonight, and he's got a good car for tomorrow night because of the Childress and Kevin Harvick connection.
Talk about youth in this series. Chris Buescher making his first ever NASCAR start in that number 16 as we see the battle now between Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on the outside, and here comes Denny Hamlin trying to take that spot away. That is a fight for 6th. Stenhouse Jr. has it, Hamlin trying to take it away.
And you can see the right side of the 20 car there around the rear tire where he scraped the wall, but really it doesn't look like it made any significant damage.
You know, you talked to Denny, Darrell, about his corner entry, and we saw it right there. He doesn't like to charge the corners here at Richmond. He thinks you let off early and let the thing roll is the way you make good time. We saw in both corners on entry, the 6 car drove out ahead of him, but then Denny makes it all up right in the center of the corner. That's how he drives this track.
That's what you got to do. You got to roll it into the corner. You got to stay off the brake. If you stay on the brake, the car won't turn. You got to get off the brake, let it turn, roll the corner, accelerate off like you see Hamlin doing here in the 20 car.
Completed 10 laps on lap number 11. Our top 3, Edwards, Scott, and Hornish. And how about Eric Almirola?
I'd say if there is a professor at this racetrack, it's probably Denny Hamlin.
Yeah.
He's a good guy to follow and watch and take notes off of.
From Chesterfield, Virginia, which is less than 20 minutes from here. Calls this his home track.
We've had one race here this weekend, and he won it.
Well, you know, I tell you, talking about that, Elliott Sadler said he would rather win here at Richmond than he had to win at Daytona.
Yeah.
That shocked me.
Home state. I mean, Darrell, obviously you've got a tie, both of you, to Kentucky. And so that would be one of those states where I'm guessing if you were still racing, to win at Kentucky would be pretty big.
I would put everything I had into that one race.
There's Elliott Sadler right there following along behind Josh Wise. That's a 16th and 17th there. It just goes to show you how tough this is. Elliott Sadler will have a chance to win this championship this year early in the going here at Richmond, a place he dearly wants to win. He's riding along in 17th spot. I bet he doesn't stay there all night, though.
No, he'll be battling up front before long. Paul Menard continuing to fall back. He started this race in 6th. He's back to 11th, but trying to battle back as he's got Brad Keselowski in front of him.
And Brad's all over the back of Kelly Byers. Brad will make that move here before a lap or two's gone.
Yeah, it's easy to get shuffled back on the start early. You get in the wrong line, it doesn't go, and you get a bunch of cars passing you. Got to fall into a place here like he's done, like Paul's doing. Get into a rhythm, and then work your way back up.
Saw Kelly Byers really loose off turn 2 over there, but Keselowski wasn't able to make the move. You can see how good that Keselowski sticks on the bottom, and that's aggravating to Byers. Watch what it does to him as he exits 2 here. I'm good. I'm sideways.
But Mike, look in the windshield of that car. Even from looking through our cameras, you can see the intensity in those eyes as he focuses on where he's going and what he's doing.
And here's some intensity here as Paul Menard makes the pass back on Brad Keselowski. He realizes that now is the time to go. Only 250 laps. He's got to get back to the front.
Well, like Darrell said, he didn't have a great start, but darn, the thing seems to have fallen into a rhythm now, and he drove around the very, very fast car of Brad Keselowski.
Michael Annett, Scott Wimmer here. Looks like Wimmer about to put the front bumper to the back bumper. That's 62.
Yeah, back in the early 2000s, Wimmer won about 5 or 6 races one year in the Nationwide Series. So this is a cat that knows how to get the job done, and he's all over Annett. Looks like he's going to make the move off too.
And you can just see here, that's how close you come to each other. And one little bobble unexpected, and you'll turn the guy in front of you around. He doesn't get back in the gas, car gets a little loose, you're into him, and around he goes.
That's that whole keeping it cool thing, man. You just have to understand when you're operating in such tight quarters, things are going to go wrong. If you get turned around, you will lose your cool. But if you get bumped, you better get over it.
And the speeds we talk about right now, they're heading into turn 3. They'll be upwards of 150, 155 miles an hour running 3 feet apart from each other.
And this is frustrating for Wimmer. He's got a faster car. But when you get the guy on the outside that keeps pinning you down, and you can't make that pass, you'll get a little annoyed here in a while, and you might do something you regret.
Carl Edwards out in front, over 0.6 of a second in front of Brian Scott, Sam Hornish Jr., Justin Allgaier, and Kenny Wallace. They're your top 5. But here comes Sam Hornish Jr. He's putting some pretty fast lap times down. You are watching the NASCAR Nationwide Series here on Speed. Speed's coverage of tonight's race from Richmond is presented by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com today. Brought to you in part by Fram. Fram filters help make sure failure's not part of your engine's life. Don't fail your engine. Use Fram. And by Weight Watchers, online for men. Finally, losing weight clicks.
Remember what I told you, tonight's the right time.
Aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. To get the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DIRECTV. Tonight is the right time for someone, and I mentioned time when we went away. The difference between first and second was just over 0.6 of a second. Now the difference between first and third is just 0.6 of a second.
But here's what I really like. I mean, Edwards is leading and Hamlin is 4th, but look at the Nationwide guys that are all lined up behind those guys.
Here comes Denny Hamlin in that number 20 as well. Hamlin gets by Sam Hornish Jr. and moves up to 3rd.
And he's going to bring Kenny Wallace with him. Kenny Wallace was running in the 4th spot ahead of Hamlin. They got tied up in a little bit of traffic. Denny made the move around Kenny. But like Darrell said, these are the fastest cars. Denny Hamlin, Sam Hornish, and Kenny Wallace, all 3 of them right now are running faster lap times than our 2 leaders.
Ray Dunlap.
Let me add on Kenny Wallace a little bit. He came on the radio and said, I'm about a 3 tight coming off the corner. But he said, guys, I tried to drop that left front tire down on the apron to free it up. And he said, boy, oh boy, did she get free. I don't want to do that too much anymore. He's hugging the bottom of that line for sure. But about a 3 tight off. Hermie?
Well, Sam Hornish Jr. so far is proving that that second-place qualifying effort was no fluke. He currently runs 4th. He's been one of the fastest cars on the racetrack so far, but the last 7 or 8 laps, he's complaining about being a little bit free on entry and a little bit free on exit. They're looking to make a wedge adjustment on their first pit stop. Krista?
The brother started 18th, currently running 17th. Right now, he said he's too tight initial throttle and too tight in the center. Those are the conditions that right now are killing him. He would love to win at this racetrack. He has more nationwide starts here than in any other track. And oh, by the way, his birthday is tomorrow. I wonder who else's birthday could be tomorrow.
I've got a guy up here that I believe his birthday is tomorrow. But Emporia, Virginia, I mean, you're awful close here to this racetrack. So, yeah, Elliott Sadler does have something to race for here in his home state.
And he's starting to pick them off one at a time. And another guy that's picking them off, Denny Hamlin, drove around Brian Scott the last time by. And I got a pretty good feeling that if you want to lead this race, you better lead it now like Carl is, because Denny Hamlin's on a mission.
Well, I think, you know, we documented that Hamlin scraped the wall qualifying. That's caused him not to have a good qualifying lap. But you heard Carl say in the opening, Denny will be coming. He knew what he was looking at. He knew what he had coming for him.
And Denny Hamlin made the remark after Carl Edwards said that he had to worry about him. He poker face. He says, Carl Edwards is pretty strong, but those two look like they're going to be battling here very shortly.
And speaking of battling, look at these cats. Kenny Wallace going 3 wide trying to get underneath Sam Hornish. Here comes Amarola. You have Edwards and Hamlin 1-2, and right behind them, Brian Scott, Sam Hornish Jr., Kenny Wallace, Eric Amarola, Stenhouse. Like we said that 7 of the top 10 were nationwide regulars and the Cup guys were outnumbered. Well, they're 1-2, but they got a group of nationwide guys bearing down on them.
Ready to pounce.
That's exactly what they are.
That 09 car, though, I'm watching him. I mean, he can go, Kenny Wallace can go where he wants to tonight. He put that thing in under Sam Hornish down there and went right on under him and right on by him. He's got a great car right now.
Here comes Denny.
Yep, just in front of Denny Hamlin. Back here we see Eric Almirola running in the 5th spot. Behind him, Sam Hornish Jr. Just in front, though, the 09 of Kenny Wallace.
I could just see last night, you know, Denny won his charity race here last night. And I could see when that race was over with, it was almost like a look of relief like he needed something, and that was the stepping stone, the catalyst he needed to get his year started.
You know, and because Darrell, it almost probably seemed like a gift to Denny. He came off turn 2. Kyle Busch had the lead. He probably thought, I'm going to have to spin this guy out. You know, I'm going to have to run into Kyle to win this race. Kyle runs out of gas. Denny says, something finally went right for me. I drove around and grabbed the win.
You know, just like last night, he started 11th, but he was picking them off methodically to get up to second.
Yeah, he drove around Amarillo. There he goes by Stenhouse Jr., point leader Justin Allgaier. And look, 3 wide to take Kenny Wallace down.
The inside line is the line for Denny Hamlin, it looks like. Every pass was down there on the bottom of the racetrack.
And there's what's left.
He is nibbling away at Carl's lead. And in about another lap or two, probably, about 2 more laps, he will be on his back bumper.
Michael, last night I heard you say after running that race that your car was very loose, but you wanted it more loose. You wanted it to be even looser. Is that a situation where right now you're seeing these 2 guys trying to figure out where they're going to find more speed?
They're definitely probably going to get tighter and tighter as the night goes. They'll continuously loosen it up, Rick. And the reason why you want that is to stay right down there by that yellow line. You really need your car to be free. If it's pushing at all, you can't hold it down there. And we watched Denny Hamlin. He's made every move he's made, Darrell, right down on that yellow line. That means he's really free.
As the tires wear and the air pressures build up and the fuel burns off. Remember, these cars burn off a lot of fuel, and here's Denny looking underneath Carl right here, might be able to make the pass. He's got him.
Now
he's got nose under there.
Yep, he's got a slower lap car in front of him. So here comes Denny Hamlin working to the bottom of the racetrack. This is for the lead, trying to take it away from Carl Edwards.
There he goes, right on around.
Made it look easy getting by Carl Edwards.
I don't know if Carl's going. Maybe I'll let you go.
Here he comes again.
Maybe I won't.
Carl Edwards says, all right, I saw how that move worked.
That's
a little. Jeremy Clements just in front of him in the 51.
That's a little test. Carl put a little test on Denny. Do you really want the lead right now, or are you willing for me to get back under you?
Denny had to check up there because the 51 just in front of him, slower obviously, didn't have a way to get around. So now Denny's going to try to put the nose underneath there to get by that slower lap car.
And then here comes Paul Menard.
Got those rotors glowing a little bit. But, you know, Michael, people make a big deal out of rotors glowing. That's not that big a deal anymore. I mean, if you get them too hot, it'll blow the bead out of the tire. But the cooling on these brakes today, and these brakes are designed to glow red like that. So it's really not that big a deal.
High dollar brakes. I mean, we're talking about they're spending a lot of money to make sure these cars stop, but at the same time go fast.
You know, I made this statement the other day. We spent about $20,000 on brakes, and my team told me, yeah, on the front ones. Another 10 or 15 for the back, so I missed that one a little bit.
Denny Hamlin takes the top spot away from Carl Edwards. So now Carl Edwards is playing chase to Hamlin. Tomorrow on NASCAR Race Day, rocks and rolls in Richmond. Clint Boyer, Casey Kane, and NASCAR President Mike Helton join us live. Plus, Kyle Busch discusses his recent dominance of the spring race here at Richmond International Raceway. NASCAR Race Day built by the Home Depot tomorrow. That's 5 Eastern, live on Speed. Under the lights, short track racing at the action track. And it is Denny Hamlin in front of Carl Edwards. He's increased his lead to 1.2 seconds. Running in third, Kenny Wallace. Fourth is Eric Almirola, and Brian Scott has the 5th spot.
That's got to feel great for Kenny Wallace to hear you say, running in third, Kenny Wallace. He drove around Eric Almirola and Brian Scott. He's up to the 3rd spot. He's running times that are totally comparable to the leader. Kenny's on a roll.
He's after Carl right now, and I believe he'll get him. That car, watch it go around the corner here, Michael. Right down on that yellow line, hooking it.
Kenny Wallace's last top 5 finish was Memphis back in 2008, where he finished 3rd.
And his last win was all the way back in 2001 down at Rockingham.
Alex Sadler making the move on Reed Sorensen.
I talked to Kenny yesterday about that win in 2001. That was a huge weekend for him. He ran 2nd in the Pennzoil car on Sunday.
There he goes.
Speaking of 2nd, here goes Kenny Wallace. Takes 2nd away from Carl Edwards.
He has got to be.
Man, he's got to be happy.
I'm surprised we can't hear him laughing all the way up here, because he got to be smiling ear to ear.
And the last time by, he ran exact same time as Denny Hamlin, and that was with Carl Edwards holding him up a little bit.
Kenny Wallace experience going to victory lane at this racetrack, right?
And Carl Edwards just came on the radio and said, can someone tell me who's driving that 09? Who is that? It's Herman.
Right on by goes Kenny Wallace. Takes second away from Carl Edwards. Now chasing after Denny Hamlin. Kenny Wallace, we talked about it, documented it. 3 wins at this racetrack, but it was 94, 95, 96. That's over 14 years ago, the last time he won at this track. Herman.
And Denny Hamlin, obviously, consistently the fastest car on the racetrack. The only thing Denny has said about his race car is a little bit tight in the center, would like a little more forward bite. The thing that bothered him the most right now, however, water temperature 240 degrees. It has been for the last 15-20 laps. They hope to take a little tape off and make a minor air pressure adjustment when Denny comes to pit road.
It's always something, ain't it, Daryl?
Too much tape. I always get kind of a little annoyed about that.
We just saw the pass for third. Eric Almirola just got by Carl Edwards. Carl talking about his brake rotors.
It's going to be real fast to get it turning.
Oh, did you hear him?
Yeah, we might think about taking a 4 round down on that right rear with the air pressure adjustment too.
I loved hearing what Carl said. He said, as tight as I am, we're going to be really fast if we get it freed up. They haven't had a chance to adjust these things yet, Rick. They come to pit road, make those adjustments. We're liable to see a whole nother race.
Communication. Talk to the crew chief. Tell him what the car's doing. Let the crew chief fix it.
And stay cool, like I said, and that's what Carl's doing. He said, you get me tuned up a little bit, I'm going to be really bad fast.
Since the drop of the green flag, we have gone and stayed green. 1 pass for the lead. It was Denny Hamlin getting by Carl Edwards. Now Kenny Wallace has moved up to the 2nd spot. He's just over 2 seconds behind our leader, Denny Hamlin. We see Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's moved into the top 5.
These guys are driving their rear ends off. Watch this. Watch Brian Scott off turn 4. You get it a little bit down on that apron, a little bit more than you want to. It makes the car turn, and in that case, it almost turned out of Brian Scott's hands.
That will make your heart skip a beat, by the way, because you hope you can catch it when it does that.
How do people keep their hearts running rhythmically then? Because virtually every lap they're catching their cars.
Pitch and catch a lot of times.
And you know, everybody's after you. Everybody's out to get you. You make a slip like that, there's always somebody sitting there to pounce on you.
Yeah.
I'm getting that spot from you.
And in that situation, it was Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He saw Brian Scott, saw at the wheel, make a little bit of an opening for him, and boom, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. right up into 5th.
And that's good driving, because you see that the guy looks back, he sees you behind him, it breaks his focus, breaks his concentration. He makes a mistake, you make the pass.
This is a great night, just like we predicted before the race started. This is a great night for the NASCAR Nationwide Series regulars. These guys that race this series week in and week out, the guys that haven't been to victory lane since April of 2010, they're bearing down on a victory tonight. They see it. They can taste it. It's right there in their hands.
Krista, Josh Wise is running in the 17th position. His best finish at this racetrack, 35th. Is he going to improve on that tonight?
Yeah, and remember, he's coming into this race with momentum, coming off a season-best 9th at Nashville last week. Started this race, he was loose on entry, tight in the center, but he just came on the radio a few laps ago and said the car is getting better.
And that's good news. He knows that on a long run, his car gets better.
Josh has done a nice job in that car.
Check out this battle for second. A guy that's been making some really good time. Fastest lap times on the track is Eric Almirola. He's caught Kenny Wallace.
Now Eric Almirola looking to the inside, trying to take second away from Kenny Wallace. They're door to door, working through the turn.
Kenny gave him the bottom. You know, he saw that anytime a really smart driver, a veteran driver, he sees somebody chase him down, he might try to race him a little bit, but he's not going to take any chances. Kenny knows he's got a good car. Don't mess up.
Keeping his cool. Again, Eric Almirola looks to the inside. Battle for second continues. Almirola in the 88 on the inside. The 09 of Kenny Wallace on the outside, and Almirola will make the pass.
And even sometime, you know, say, okay, I'll give him the bottom, and all of a sudden you move up to give him the bottom, and wow, I'm pretty fast around the top. Maybe I found another groove.
Found a new line. Well, Eric Almirola is going to try to catch up with Denny Hamlin. Almirola now 3 seconds behind Denny Hamlin. Kenny Wallace stayed right at about 2.2 seconds behind race leader and could never close that gap. It's Eric Almirola's turn to try to chase down the Sport Clips number 20 of Denny Hamlin. Can the Virginia native win in the Nationwide Series at Richmond International Raceway. $55.55 or your local agent to get a quote today. Under the lights from Richmond International Raceway, out in front of the field, it's Denny Hamlin. Eric Almirola has closed the gap to 2.3 seconds. Kenny Wallace still holds on to third. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Carl Edwards making up our top 5.
Yeah, Stenhouse has driven up to the 4th spot there on the last time by. He had the fastest lap time, so every time you think there's one cat that's going to be the guy that's going to catch Denny Hamlin, now it looks like Stenhouse has the car to go catch Denny with.
Well, you know, Ricky Stenhouse and Trevor Bayne are really good buddies. And Trevor Bayne actually texted during the drivers' meeting that he wanted to thank everybody for all the prayers and everything and hope to be back soon to get back in his race car. So, Trevor, I know you're watching, and, man, come on. Get back out here.
And Stenhouse has on his helmet, we're praying for you. We love you, Trevor. And just a lot of support for Trevor Bayne here this weekend.
Stenhouse Jr., teammates to Carl Edwards. We talked earlier about communication and how important it is. Here was the communication from Carl to crew chief just moments ago.
Yeah, there's definitely something in the front tire pressure or something, because it's like one of the front tires is giving up and the other one's still gripping. Okay.
I think what the problem is, Carl complained a little bit about the brakes a little earlier, and I think he's using way too much front brake, and he's built up a lot of tire pressure in that right front. You see those glowing rotors, and I think he's got the front tire pressures way up, and that's why the front tires are losing grip. And what's wrong with Brad Keselowski
Slow on
here?
the racetrack. The 22 of Brad Keselowski's on his way onto pit road. Locks up the left front tire as he has to slow to get onto pit road. Let's go to Ray.
He said loose in on both ends, and then he said, oh, guys, I think I got a flat tire. So Brad Keselowski will be coming down pit road here to change tires. This will be at lap 80 under green. Could be a big problem. We'll see when he gets here if it is, in fact, a flat tire.
Also, Darrell, he came across the timing line into the pits at a high rate of speed. He slid to a stop past it, which means he got his speed down. Did he get it down enough not to incur a speeding penalty on that entry? It'll be really close.
But looking at that tire, the right front particularly, they looked fine. It might be a slow leak, but it wasn't flat.
A good stop. He makes his way back off of pit road. Now, this is the longest green flag stretch to start a race here since lap-by-lap caution data became available back in 1997. So
wow.
We have gone a long ways, which is unfamiliar territory here at this track.
Whoa, Brad.
And
man,
smoke coming out of the 22.
Just got in there way too hot.
Way too hard. He's on new tires. These other guys are still on old tires. And he thinks he's Superman right now.
He's on new tires, and he's going to take advantage of them.
Got that right. He just used a little bit of them up getting in that corner, sliding them like that.
Brad Keselowski scored 2 laps down. Now currently on the lead lap, we've got 18. Mark, check that. Now 17, and Scott Wimmer just went down a lap. Leffler is the last car on the lead lap. Take a look at what happened with the 22 when he came back out on the track.
Just bonsais it down in here, and you can see that left front just locks up, bounces off of Brian Scott there, and just, man, that was almost a disaster.
Talked about opportunities.
Yeah,
this 31.
This opportunity is off the side of the 22 car. He knocked the 11 out of the way, and Allgaier said, well, I'll just go over here. I'll make my way around.
Chris Devoto.
Well, right at that moment, Ryan Scott came on the radio and said, what was that? Crew Chief Kevin Kidd says, I'm just hanging in there, I know. And Ryan said, oh, is that guy an idiot? And then they said, no, it's okay. So there was a little bit of confusion, but yeah, the 22, you see scraping almost the 11 off the side of Ryan Scott's machine.
Yeah, I want to talk about Chris Buescher. We've been talking about him tonight, all night, filling in for Trevor Bayne, his first ever Nationwide Series start here at Richmond. He qualified 21st. He's up to 16th, doing a really good job. He's running consistent lap times with those in the top 10 to 12 positions, but right now fighting a tight race car. They have told him around lap 100 to 105, they're bringing to pit road and try to free roll that car in the middle of the corner. Ray?
And Hermie, I just ran down to 22. You can see here a little cut on the inside of the right front. So there was a cut there, and it was losing air pressure. But guys, I want you to take a look. You want to talk about brakes? These guys are using some brakes tonight. A good bit of dust down here, too, but it was the right front going down for Brad Keselowski.
In our opening, we talked about glowing rotors. That's because these guys drive these cars so hard. I mean, they barrel off into the corner. You have to be really aggressive to be fast in a Nationwide car because they don't have as much horsepower as a Cup car. You have to finesse a Cup car a little bit. You just dog these things. You drive them deep into the corner, hard on the brakes, and that's what you're seeing here tonight.
Guys, we're closing in on green flag pit stops.
Oh, yeah.
We're at lap 90, so people are probably starting to think about, okay, what are we going to do? What changes need to be made?
Yeah, they're talking 100 to 105 here on laps, and we're about 10 away. So, yeah, these crew chiefs are doing that. What we talked about in the opening, what's my strategy going to be here? Am I going to take 4? Am I going to take 2? What am I going to do?
There's Eric Almirola, again trying to get by the slower lap traffic. This time it's the 38 of Jason Leffler.
Mike Bliss, he drove around Carl Edwards. Carl has fallen all the way back to the 11th spot. We heard him calmly and coolly explain to his team what he thought the problem was and what he needed to do. Well, he needs to do it in a hurry. He's fallen out of the show.
Carl Edwards talking with his crew chief earlier about tire pressure and maybe too much tire pressure in the front of this race car, backing him up. Carl Edwards has dropped all the way back to the 12th spot. Currently 15 cars on the lead lap. We have gone green all 91 laps of this race, and now Denny Hamlin has just a 1.1 second lead over Eric Almirola. Kenny Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Paul Menard, they are your top 5, but Denny Hamlin still trying to battle around the slower lap traffic here at Richmond International Raceway.
Don't miss it.
Monday night on the Hub, Steve Burns and Danielle Trotta deliver the ultimate recap of Richmond and get you fired up for Darlington. Don't miss NASCAR Race Hub Monday night at 7 Eastern, only on Speed.
Denny Hamlin,
yep,
he's picking them up and putting them down, lapping his teammate there.
Well, and actually he put Carl Edwards a lap down when we were at break.
That's the top 10 right there, man.
Krista, we've got green flag stops happening.
Ryan Scott planning on coming in this lap. Ryan Scott saying that his car is really tight in the center, really good late in that run on the exit. They are planning to come in and take their tires right now.
Comes Kenny Wallace, Ricky Stenhouse, and here comes Carl Ray.
Leaders coming to you, Ray.
Yeah, Kenny Wallace is talking on the radio saying, I'm a little bit tight in the middle, but it's pretty good. Don't go too far for me, Zippy. Talking about Scott Zipadelli, he said, I don't want to make too big of adjustment and get out of the game here. Hermie?
Yeah, Denny Hamlin on the way to his gas for 4 tires. His car's a little bit free on exit. They're going to make a small air pressure adjustment, get him back on the racetrack. That's Denny Hamlin, the leader.
Carl Edwards coming out of his pit stall. Again, having the pole, winning the pole, got him that first stall.
And this is a real critical time of the race because of the fact that you got guys on new tires and guys on old tires, Krista. So these pit stops are really key right now.
Elliott Sadler is as good as anyone out on that racetrack right now. That's what Ernie Cope, his crew chief's telling him. It was 4 tires. Also the command to not wait on fuel. Elliott Sadler, very good. Ryan Scott also in.
Here comes race leader Eric Almirola onto pit road now. He's got Ryan Truex just in front of him. Ray.
And Rick Popshiri came on and said, we can't stay out there too much longer. They were planning on going 3 more laps, but you don't want to give up the time. Loose in and just a tiny bit loose off. Eric says it's about a 2. The longer it goes, he said, the run, it gets a lot better. Eric has not been terribly great at this racetrack, but this team has. Jamie McMurray has finished 3rd in this very car.
I'll tell you who this is going to maybe work out for. Brad Keselowski, who had to make that stop early, like a short pit, and it's cycling through. He could find himself in the lead here before too long.
Yeah, I think he'll definitely have the lead by the time this thing all cycles out. Everybody does this, Daryl. They all slide past that timing stripe, and then they slow their cars way, way, way down so that they don't speed.
Right. Free, tight, free. That's the signal from Ricky Stenhouse. Very free in, a little tight in the center, and moderately tight, free off. So it's free, tight, free. You can see they're making a track bar adjustment. They went down on right side air pressure, gas in it, and the 6 goes back to the racetrack, but he'll be behind the 88. Looks like he'll cycle out about right where he was running.
Only one speeding penalty we're hearing so far. Mike Bliss, and that number 19 will have to serve a pass-through penalty. After pit stops have shaken out, we've got Denny Hamlin out in front. Kenny Wallace running second. He's 6.4 seconds back. Eric Almirola 7.9 seconds back. Paul Menard, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., they're your top 5. You only currently have 11 cars on the lead lap. Jason Leffler running in that 11th spot. He's 22 seconds behind our race leader, Denny Hamlin. And there is your race leader, and well, there's Jason Leffler right in front of him, so it's about to change.
It's wild and crazy when you got guys out there on old tires and guys out there on new tires. They're going everywhere. 3 wide, 4 wide. And get out of the way.
You know, they're just trying to dodge each other and keep from bringing out a caution. If you're on old tires, you kind of want a caution. If you're out there on new ones, you could cause one real easily because you're so much faster, but you can't afford a caution at that point because you made your pit stop already.
10 on the lead lap. Sam Hornish Jr. holding on to that 10th spot in his number 12. We have 32 cars still on the racetrack.
Kurt.
Welcome back to the Bubba Burger 250, presented on speed by Nationwide Insurance here at Richmond International Raceway. Beautiful aerial coverage brought to you by DirecTV. To get the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
Bubba Burger 250, that's fun to say, isn't
it? It is fun to say. How about Bubba with that command?
Oh, I loved it.
Let's get it on.
Baby, let's get it on. That was great.
And they are getting it on right now. Denny Hamlin is putting it to him. He has an 8-second lead over Kenny Wallace. We have gone 114 green flag laps here at Richmond International Raceway. The last time we went over 100 laps from the start of the race, all green, was back in 2009 at Dover when they went 109 laps. So we've passed that mark already.
And quite honestly, the way the field is somewhat strung out, everybody's minding their manners pretty well right now. I don't see any situations, maybe, well, whoops, I take that back. I'm sorry. Going in turn 1 might be a situation.
Ray Dunlap.
You know, guys, when we were doing practice earlier today, Paul Menard was not very happy with the handling on this number 33. Did not like the way it was rolling through the center, but he said this car has really good drive off. They made a very minor adjustment on this last pit stop, and he said he's pretty happy with the way it's going. Good battle on the racetrack now as Stenhouse goes underneath him there, but Menard not complaining at all. He said he likes the way it's coming off the corner.
Those two continue to fight for that 4th spot. Stenhouse Jr. has it. Paul Menard wants it.
Stenhouse had a good run here last fall. He finished 4th in this race. Gets around this joint pretty good. He's looking real racy right now.
Denny Hamlin continuing to pick his way through the slower lap traffic. That hasn't eaten away at the lead that he has over Eric Almirola because he's still got 8 seconds over Almirola, who now is fighting with Kenny Wallace.
Yeah, he just got around Kenny Wallace, took the 2nd spot away. But look up ahead there. That car that's going across the start-finish line now, that's Carl Edwards. He drove around 2nd place Kenny Wallace, and he drove around Almirola, but he's a lap down, and he's not in a lucky dog position. But just like we talked, Darrell, his communication with his team enabled them to make the adjustments he needed. That car's bad fast now, but man, he dug himself a hole. Can he dig out of it?
But that's what he knew. He didn't panic because he knew when they get in the pits, make some adjustments, fix him up, he can drive back up there and maybe get those laps back.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. worked his way around Ryan Truex. There's Chris Buescher in the 16 going by that 30 of James Buescher, cousins.
And that's what I like. Guys that are smart. Carl didn't drive the car, wreck the car, have problems. He just waited till the pit crew could help him, and now he's fixed up and he may be able to get back in this thing.
Talking about keeping your cool, I mean, no one's been any cooler than Carl was on the radio talking to Mike Beam about what's wrong with the thing. Mike obviously heard Carl loud and clear. They made the adjustments, and he could get back into this thing.
Stenhouse Jr. also trying to get around James Buescher in that 30. Again, Stenhouse Jr. running in the 4th spot. Paul Menard has dropped to the 5th position, and you see the distance between him now. There's the 33 of Paul Menard going by Ryan Truex, who is a lap down. Currently in the field, from 8th all the way back to 22nd. Those cars are 1 lap down. Then behind them, we've got 4 drivers that are 2 laps down. Cook, Bliss, James Busher, and Robert Richardson.
So listen to this. We took off. They threw the green. We run 122 laps. And basically 3/4 of the field are within 1.5 miles of each other. Yeah. They've been able to make that much ground together. That's how competitive it is, and that's how closely matched all these cars are.
Oh, trouble turn 4,
and around
guys.
goes Kelly Byers in the 18.
Trouble, and they're all piling in here, guys.
Our first caution comes out on lap 124.
Yeah, just wait till it's clear. We'll roll down here and look at it, guys. Be ready. Left rear.
Kelly Byers was running in the 15th spot, and you see a lot of damage to the left rear of that race car.
And Brad Keselowski had just gotten lapped, so I think that'll get Brad, the Aaron's lucky dog.
Yep.
So that's a big break for him because he had short pitted. You know, he had that flat. He was on older tires. Now he can get his lap back. There's only 8 of them on the lead lap. Brad will be right back in good shape.
Good break for Carl, because now Carl, he's got a fast enough car that he can drive himself back on the lead lap.
Let's see what happens to Kelly Byers. He's down underneath Jason Leffler into turn 3.
Look at those brake rotors glowing red hot, and he's on the brakes hard, and around she goes.
And Jason
didn't give him a lot of room. Kept him pinned down to the bottom, and really just sounded no harm. I mean, he didn't do anything wrong. He just didn't give him a lot of room.
Well, now also when you get down into that 3rd turn, Darrell, that rear end wants to come around in a hurry, and so maybe Byers chased it up the hill a little bit. Jason wasn't quite giving him the room he thought. All of a sudden, he's crashed.
Saw an 18 and an 88 car look very similar to that here a couple of years ago.
And boy, did the crowd roar when the 18 punted the 88. Krista.
Elliott Sadler not liking the air pressure adjustment they made on that last run. His car is still good. He said, I just need to be a little bit safer on entry. Let's go back on that air pressure that we did last time. It was a 4-tire change last time. It will be 4 tires again. Hermie?
Yeah, Krista, Denny Hamlin loved the changes his crew chief made onto that green flag pit stop. It was tires only this time. No changes for Denny Hamlin. Ray?
Eric Almirola in the middle of your screen said when he leaves his brake fans on, it gets a little too tight for him. He'd like to make some different air pressure adjustments. Pop Uri said he will definitely do that. We see the number 33 rolling out of his pits there. And on the last round of pit stops for Carl Edwards, wanted to tell you guys they made a big wedge adjustment. And Michael, just as you said, he made an adjustment on his brake bias, and that's helped this car come back to life.
It's alive for sure, Ray. That thing's flying.
Seeing the race off pit road and the changes. Folks here in Richmond International Raceway getting a good show. A lot of green flag laps being run here. Kelly Byers, though, a little hard racing for position with Leffler, goes around in turn 4. Speed Inside Deals is your one-stop shop for exclusive ticket offers for speed viewers. Heading to Richmond International Raceway? Well, purchase a grandstand ticket and a pre-race pit pass for under $100. Visit speed.com/deals to purchase your Speed Inside deal tonight. Welcome back, NASCAR Nationwide Series 250 here on Speed, your motorsports authority.
These guys needed a reset.
Yeah.
And they got it. But it took them to the halfway point of the race to get that reset.
But we got us a whole new deal now, because just like Carl Edwards, a lot of these other guys made big adjustments, big swings. Watch out.
And a lot of guys are taking the option of the wave around. So we had 7 cars on the lead lap. The Aaron's lucky dog goes to the 22 of Brad Keselowski. That put 8 back on the lead lap. And now a lot of wave around cars taking that opportunity to get back on the lead lap.
Yeah, Steve Wallace, Josh Weiss, Mike Bliss. Bunch of guys, Ryan Truex, all of them taking the wave around. But I like what Carl Edwards did. He went ahead and pitted. He knows he's got a fast enough car to win the Aaron's lucky dog back.
Yeah, he's not worried. I'm telling you, he's not worried. Ray.
No adjustments for the 09 and Kenny Wallace. They're very happy with his car. The 6 car of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. They went down a ½ a pound air pressure on the right side. Hermie?
Yeah, Ray, Justin Allgaier came to pit road, still fighting a tight condition in the middle of the corner. They pulled a spring rubber out of the left rear. Krista?
Brian Scott says his car is a lot better. You got it where I need it on entry. Rick?
Pace cars off the racetrack. The field back in the hands of the 20 of Denny Hamlin. Coming out of 4. Green flag back in the air. We're underway.
All right, now this is when it gets a little dicey. Everybody's on new tires, trying to catch up, make up, whatever. You got to be careful here.
Paul Menard to the outside, trying to take that third spot away.
And there's 2 races now. Carl Edwards is racing for that Aaron's Lucky Dog, and Eric Almirola is racing to pass Denny Hamlin. And look, off turn 4.
Coming off 4, battle for the lead still. Denny Hamlin, the 88 of Eric Almirola, looks to the inside, going to turn number 1. Almirola has taken the spot away from Denny Hamlin.
Boy, and here comes Ricky Stenhouse up under Kenny Wallace down the back straightaway. Got racing going on big time now.
You mentioned it. We needed a reset. We got one. Here comes Ricky Stenhouse Jr. looking to get by that 09 of Kenny Wallace. He takes that position, moves up to 3rd. Kenny Wallace back to 4th. 5th is the 33 of Paul Menard. On the lead lap, Scott Wimmer running 14th. 14 cars on the lead lap now. Sparks flying already.
Carl Edwards is riding along in the 15th spot. He's got that Aaron's Lucky Dog locked up at the minute, and he's fast, so he'll get that, and he'll have a chance to win this race yet.
Almirola Hamlin. Remember that? Almirola Hamlin. You guys remember back to 2007 in Milwaukee? Almirola started the race, Hamlin finished it, got the win. But remember, Almirola was credited with that win since he started the race, but Almirola has never said he felt like he won that race.
He led the first 43 laps, and they tapped him on the shoulder and said, "We got one coming in for you, brother. Hop out." And Denny Hamlin went on to win the race. Those two will forever be tied together because of that day in Wisconsin.
Carl Edwards, I tell you, Carl Edwards will be a factor in this race. Right now, he's in a battle for the lucky dog. And as soon as he gets in that position, I mean, I think he's fast enough to go up there and actually get back on the lead lap on his own.
He's not in a battle for a lucky dog, Daryl. He's driving off from everybody that's related to a dog.
Sam Hornish Jr. is running in the 16th spot. He's the next car that is one lap down behind Carl Edwards, but already those two separated by at least one car, now two cars in between the two of them.
So you're saying that dog will hunt? Is that what you're saying?
Dog's gone. Dog gone.
Dog gone.
Almirola, Hamlin, Stenhouse Jr., Paul Menard, and Justin Allgaier are your top five. Kenny Wallace, Elliott Sadler, Brad Keselowski, Steve Wallace, and Josh Wise, your top 10. Battle for the lead continues. Here comes Denny Hamlin. He looks to the inside of Eric Almirola. They battle going out of turn number 4 and across the front stretch.
It's Hamlin with the lead, but look who he's bringing with him, Daryl. There's your boy. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is on it.
Yikes.
Trying to take second away. Close call. Close call goes to one.
Man, you dive under somebody down there like that, driving down on the bottom like that. He did a great job of hanging on to that thing.
That's your speed spotlight. You said he could win this race.
My man's on it tonight. He wants this. He wants that trophy.
Battle for second continues. Door to door. Almirola on the outside. Stenhouse Jr. on the inside.
And Stenhouse just packed it down in there and cleared him going into one.
What a dive bomb that was.
Yeah, baby.
Let's go get the leader.
Let's go get the leader. I wonder how that sounds to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. After the start he had to his career. Now he's talking about going and getting the leader, who happens to be Mr. Richmond, Denny Hamlin. It's got to sound good.
Menard took the spot away from Eric Almirola, so Menard now up to the 3rd position. He'll try to chase down Ricky Stenhouse Jr., but everyone's still chasing Denny Hamlin here in his home state.
Watch what happened on that last restart. I was watching some guys kind of, because you always look for action on these restarts. The 70 car right here, David Strimmy. Watch him. He says, excuse me, let me get you out of my way, please. You're holding me up. Oh, well, okay, so that didn't work. Well, let me try this.
Let's do it again.
Let me, now get out of my way.
You didn't hear me the first time.
That's right.
Jeremy Clements gets shoved out of the way, so David Strimmy moves up, tries to take that position. Strimmy running in the 13th spot. He is on the lead lap. Michael Annett, 14th, also on the lead lap. 88 of Eric Almirola has dropped back to the 4th spot, Ray.
Yeah, and guys, whenever we came in for that pit stop, I tried to explain his problem. If he leaves his brake fans on, he builds up too much pressure in the front, and he said then it gets really tight. But if he shuts them off, then he gets a real bad vibration. So he's kind of got a catch-22 here. He's flipping them on and off to try to change that air pressure, but he said it's not working out the way he wants to, and it's making him really, really tight.
So a tight condition for Eric Almirola that he's fighting. Again, 2 cars in front of him is Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
And, you know, that's just Almirola using every tool he's got, flipping his switches, trying fans, doing anything he can to get that car to get around these corners like he hopes it will.
You know, we talked about that restart and how David Stremme was moving guys out of his way. Well, the 6 team used a little different motivation to get him to move toward the front. Here's some of the communication before that restart with Ricky Stenhouse Jr.
What I need you to do is just don't get mad and just try and be as detailed as you can, because what it sounded like to me is you were just getting mad and you were saying free in, tight in the middle, free off. That wasn't helping me. I just need you to help me out here. 10 for me. We still got a shot at this thing. You're fine.
It's a pretty good impression right there.
That's Mike Kellenoff, I think, is spotting for him, and that's his crew chief talking to him. And back to what we said in the opening, you've got to be precise, communicate, talk to the crew chief so he can help you. Let him help you.
And what I would do if I'm that organization, I'd say, Ricky, listen to Carl explain to Mike Beam about his car. Did you hear how calm and detailed Carl was when he explained what was going on? He kept it cool, just like we said at the beginning. You got to keep it cool.
Out in front of the field, Denny Hamlin started this race 11th, just outside the top 10, but he's got a 6/10 second lead over Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Those two running very consistent lap times. Here's Reed Sorensen on the inside and Brian Scott on the outside. Those two battling on the racetrack. There's the gap now between 1 and 2. Denny Hamlin in front of the 6 of Stenhouse Jr. Toyota, Ford, Chevy, your top 5. Speed's coverage of tonight's race from Richmond is presented by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com today. And brought to you in part by Dodge. We are Dodge. We are never neutral. Welcome back to Richmond International Raceway. Under the lights, Denny Hamlin trying to go 2 for 2. He won his charity late model race last night right here on Speed. Now he's out front of the field here with under 100 laps of racing to go. Just 96 remaining in this one. Stenhouse Jr. runs second. Menard, Almirola, and Allgaier your top 5.
And I'm going to tell you, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is after Denny Hamlin. I mean, he's making some brave moves, some bold moves, as a matter of fact. Watch this, Michael. He's coming off turn 4 right here. These guys are in his way.
Oh, man.
Right on by.
That was a good time to be going low, wasn't it?
It was.
It was really congested up top. He's trying to get his first win with Roush Fenway Racing. The last driver to do that was David Reagan in Talladega back in 09, and Mike Kelly was his crew chief. Darrell, do you know who Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s crew chief is?
No.
Mike Kelly.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So he's going to try to get another first-time winner for Roush Fenway Racing.
Good job, man.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming into this race, your points leader, tied with Justin Allgaier. The reason Allgaier had the nod is because he has a better finish than Ricky Stenhouse Jr. coming into this race. That was a second place at Las Vegas.
Looks like Chris Buescher is getting his legs up under him, trying to get this deal figured out. We saw him at the first of the race. He started 21st, moved up to 16th or 17th, and was steady. Now a car that we've seen running the top 5 early in the race, Buescher's all over him, so he's upped his performance. That's what you like to see out of a young guy. Start slow, start steady, and give me improvement all night long, and it might get you another chance.
You know what I like? No preconceived notions. And oh, by the way, no friends either. and he's not going to make any. Watch this.
Well, we know when he
just keep punting him until he gets him out of his way. I got to go, man.
We knew when he got here he didn't have any friends, and it appears he's not interested in making any.
Well, Chris Buescher came onto the scene as far as stock car racing in the ARCA Racing Series. He ran his first race at the age of 17 at Toledo and won. And then later that year went back to Toledo, won it again. So 2 wins in the ARCA Racing Series, and now people are taking notice because obviously he's performing very well here in the Nationwide Series.
Toledo's a fast, big half mile, similar to this. And these guys, a lot of these guys come on into the Nationwide Series have a lot of experience just on short tracks that we've never seen them race on. So they come in here with some good credentials. We're just not aware of it.
And we're starting to see some of that resume right now as far as driving abilities out of Chris Buescher.
There's Kenny Wallace. He's working through the lap traffic there of Charles Lewandowski, following along behind Justin Allgaier. Justin's in the top 5, Kenny just outside of it. That's Timmy Hill they're trying to put a lap on.
See, one thing that may have happened to Kenny Wallace, do you remember what he said on his pit stop? Really, I don't think you need to do anything to the car. These crew chiefs...
I'm taking my hand and turn it lower. Turn the wheel more, it's better. 10-4. Just gotta turn the wheel more.
Sounds like he's turned the wheel more. The car has gotten tight. What these crew chiefs know is I have to adjust on this car every time it comes in the pit to keep up with the racetrack. If you say don't do anything to it, you're going to fall out of the top 5, and you're going to find yourself going backward here before long.
Now, one of the things we talked about at the restart was Carl Edwards was in that free pass position, had the opportunity to hold on to that. Well, the problem now is Denny Hamlin is starting to lap guys once again. So currently on the lead lap, just 11. Ryan Truex now the last car on the lead lap. He just put Stremme down a lap. So now Stremme is the Aaron's Lucky Dog recipient if a caution comes out.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin's lapping all those wave arounds there now. You know, the guys that wave around, they have to start at the tail end of the field. Denny's caught those guys and putting them a lap down. But Carl Edwards isn't too far behind Denny either. He'll start catching those wave around cars in a hurry too. Timing might work out where he can still get that Aaron's Lucky Dog, but like you said, Rick, it looks highly unlikely he'll get it this time.
The wave around is a beautiful thing. It cleans up the front of the field for restarts, gets those cars out of the way, so we don't have to try to explain where the leader is when they come to take the green with a bunch of cars on the tail end of the lead lap. I love that. The other thing is it works beautifully also if you take it, and a few laps after you've taken it, there's another caution. Now you're back on a level playing field with everybody else. But if it goes green like this, it could bite you.
Yeah, it's not working out for those wave around cars. Krista.
Well, it's been an air pressure seesaw for Elliott Sadler. First, they made an air pressure adjustment and freed the car up, and then they went back on it. He was too free. Now he feels like he's too tight. But he's got one of the best and funniest spotters in the business, Brett Griffin, up top, keeping it cool, saying the longer the run, the more the car comes to you. Just hang in there, buddy. Meanwhile, a couple of cars back, Josh Wise, he chose to stay on the racetrack, took the wave around when the rest of the cars came into pit, choosing track position. Right now, he says, starting to lose all of my drive off. Hermie?
Krista, a driver that's having a really good run tonight, and it's been a while since he's been this competitive, is Scott Wimmer. He qualified 22nd tonight in the number 40 car, and he has slowly and methodically been moving his way into the top 10. For those of us that follow Scott Wimmer, it's not that big a surprise. He has 9 top 10 finishes here and finished second in 2008.
Hermie, these two are battling for 6 right now. Elliott Sadler on the inside, and you just saw the 31 of Justin Allgaier get sideways, so he loses the spot to Elliott Sadler.
We've seen a lot of that sideways stuff. That's fun, isn't it?
Well, it's fun being up here watching it. I don't know how fun it would be behind the wheel.
You know, my man here in the 6 car, I think he's driven the tires off of his car. He was really hammering hard trying to get up there to get after Denny Hamlin, and I believe he's driven the tires off of it. He's starting to complain about the car being loose, and he's falling back.
And the guy that just drove around him, Paul Menard, quite the opposite. He was the fastest car on the track last time by, some 2/10 quicker than our leader, so that car is really coming to Paul Menard here.
Again, your top 5, Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Eric Almirola, and Kenny Wallace. There's Paul Menard running in the 2nd spot now. He's got 2.2 seconds separating he and the race leader.
That car you see just in front of him, that's Ryan Truex. He is the lucky dog guy right now, running along in the 11th spot. First guy lap down.
10 cars on the lead lap. Scott Wimmer running 10.
That 99 car, Mike, he picked the pace up. When he got lapped there a little bit ago, it's almost like he found something. He followed along behind Denny Hamlin for a long, long time, staying right with him. Like he found a line that really picked his lap times up.
And like I said, as an owner, that's what you want to see. You want to see somebody that just gets it. He understands, improves, gets better and better. Somebody that's not doing real well right now, Ray, is the 6 of Stenhouse Jr. What are they saying down there in the pit?
Well, remember I said the free tight free part? Well, it's still similar to that, but Ricky just came on about 2 laps ago and said it's the tightness in the center that's really killing him and making him even freer coming off. So they need to make an air pressure adjustment. Now remember, when we were here in the fall, Ricky Stenhouse ran in the top 5, and when I got to the garage today, I asked his crew chief, Mike Kelly, if this was the exact same car they had used last fall. He said, absolutely not. We sold that car. We've updated. We're now at chassis 645. This is a much better car. We got rid of that old one. And Mike Beam came over to me and he said, hey, don't tell him, but I kept that other car to put it in the 60 fleet. I think it's one of the best.
That's pretty cool.
And Ray, you just told him. And everybody else, too.
Almirola now has the 6 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. behind him. So Almirola takes 3rd away from Stenhouse Jr. He drops back to the 4th position. Paul Menard running in the 2nd spot. He's got 1 nationwide win, but it came back in 2006 at Milwaukee. He still has to get by Denny Hamlin, who's been out front. We talked about the royal wedding earlier. Royalty here in Virginia could be Denny Hamlin today as he's dominating this race out in front. You're watching the Nationwide Series race here on Speed, your motorsports authority.
WDiesel.com.
This race is brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, official sponsor of NASCAR. Call 1-866-500-5555 or your local agent to get a quote today. Gorgeous pictures from the DirecTV blimp. Great night for racing here. Under the lights, short track racing in Richmond.
You know what? I keep watching Denny Hamlin. And I think, okay, here comes Paul Menard in the 33. He's got a little something for him. Hamlin picks up the pace. So then I watch Almirola. Here comes Almirola. He's got something for him. Hamlin picks up the pace. I think Denny Hamlin's holding a little bit in the bank just in case somebody does get up there and get after him.
Yeah, we saw Stenhouse Jr. You talked about maybe using up his equipment a little bit too quickly. He's dropped back to the 4th spot now. Kenny Wallace has run up there in the 2nd position, but it has been a dominant Carl Edwards early in this race and now a very dominant Denny Hamlin.
And speaking of Carl Edwards, he's 1 car away from being the lucky dog.
Carl Edwards is running 9th. 8th is the first car a lap down, and that's Josh Watt.
And he's keeping exact pace with our leader, Denny Hamlin. He's marching along about 10, 20, 30 car lengths behind behind Denny. And every time Denny puts one of them a lap down, Carl's comes and gets them and puts them behind him. So Carl's about a back straightaway behind Denny, but he's been able to keep pace.
Hermie Sadler.
Yeah, guys, we just talked about Scott Wimmer, what a great run he was having in the 40 car up inside the top 10. Well, as soon as we got away from that report, the 40 car ran out of fuel on the racetrack. They're not sure if they did not get it full of fuel on the last stop or it was a pickup problem. So Scott came down pit road, got fuel, could not get the car started going down pit road. He then received a pass-through penalty because the team pushed the car down the pit road through too many pit boxes. So a potential really good night for the 40 team gone bad. He is currently outside the top 30 in 32nd spot.
Remember, we're starting to see some of the wave around guys that didn't come in on that last stop and they're needing fuel, so they're on pit road.
But back to Wimmer in the 40 car. That's just from lack of not being at a racetrack every week, getting into a rhythm in the pits, on the track, behind the wheel. You got to go every week to get good.
Denny Hamlin has led more laps tonight than he had in his previous 10 starts here combined. Coming into this race, he had led 133 laps. He just went over leading 136 laps in this race.
Denny Hamlin drives for Joe Gibbs Racing. You know what? Joe Gibbs Racing has led over half of the laps competed for in 2011.
That's not so bad.
So there's a lot of records going down for that group.
But Denny Hamlin led 380 laps thereabouts a year ago and didn't win the race. Had a flat tire late in the race and ended up not winning it.
We saw a lot the same thing at Martinsville. Had a really dominant car up there in the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series race and couldn't get to victory lane. Had to pit late when others didn't. Same thing at Phoenix last fall that maybe cost him the championship. So he can lead laps. Can he close tonight?
You know what they say? It ain't over
till it's
over.
Paul Menard trying to hold off a hard-charging Eric Almirola now. So Almirola trying to take that 2nd spot back from Paul Menard. Like you mentioned, the guy who gets into 2nd looks as though he's going to have something for Denny Hamlin, gets up there, stalls out, And now all of a sudden we've got Eric Almirola trying to take that second spot back once again.
Yeah, I think these other guys are working really, really hard, getting all they can out of their cars. Denny, on the other hand, is saving just a little bit. He's not at 100%. Maybe 95, but not 100.
Darrell, we talked about Carl Edwards fighting to get in that Aaron's Lucky Dog spot, and every time he seems to get there, our leader Denny Hamlin laps another cat. Well, this time he's going to make it. As soon as he makes that pass around Josh Wise, he will be in the Aaron's Lucky Dog spot. Meanwhile, the battle for second is off turn 4 on the left.
Almirola to the inside. He'll take the spot away from Paul Menard as they go by the stripe.
So what we're seeing is we see cars that are pretty good on the short runs. They seem to be like Stenhouse, seem to have made pretty good time. Then we see guys that are pretty good on the long runs like Almirola, and here goes Carl.
That's now the lucky dog spot.
Now he needs a caution.
Lucky dog spot now goes to Carl Edwards once again. The next person that Denny Hamlin can put a lap down is Justin Allgaier. He's 15 seconds behind Hamlin. These guys are running laps right at about 23 seconds.
Carl is the lucky dog, and if he catches the caution, Denny Hamlin will be the unlucky dog because he's got a car good enough to beat Denny Hamlin.
But a caution is a real frequent, rare thing this evening.
It does seem that way, doesn't it?
That is very true, since we've only had one caution, and it came out on lap 125.
For a spin.
Leffler on pit road now in the 38. You see him making his move into his stall, Hermie.
Now, coming down pit road now, Rick, he is 16th. He is a little bit on the free side. They're going to go down 2 rounds on the track bar on the right side to try to tighten him up and finish this thing off with a decent finish.
Now, you saw his brake rotors glowing as he came down pit road. The crew chief will usually tell you, turn your brake blowers off when you come in the pits because you don't want to blow all that brake dust in the tire changer's eyes. And so you turn them off and then turn them back on. Krista.
This is a scheduled stop for the 7 of Josh Wise. Remember, he stayed out on that last pit sequence to gain track position. He had said at this point he had lost all of his rear grip and the tires were gone. They were holding out, hoping for a caution. They had to come in. They were in their fuel window, almost out. 4 tires for Josh.
Josh Wise making his way back off of pit road. Again, the guys out front pitted on lap 125. We've got just 53 laps to go. We're on lap 198. The 70 on pit road now. Strimmy coming your way, Ray.
Yeah, he was my spotlight driver tonight, Rick, and he's been very happy with his race car. He just talked to the crew chief and said, I think maybe we should take a little bit of air out of the left rear. That'll help me. And then they're going to go ahead and do 4 tires here in this Ford Travel race car. David Stremme gives up 11th place on the racetrack to pit at lap 198.
I really like David Stremme. I'm glad he's getting a chance to get back out here and do some racing. Got a great Cup car here this weekend. Out here tonight, going to drive some for Rusty Wallace. Good kid.
6 drivers doing double duty between the Nationwide and Cup racing this weekend. Denny Hamlin a 4.7 second lead over Eric Almirola, who is now in that second spot. Menard has dropped back to 4th spot as Ricky Stenhouse Jr. has taken 3rd away from him.
I don't know whose radio that was, but 5 more. I guess they're going to pit in 5 more, I think.
Well, the race leaders, I was talking about the numbers, 125 laps. That would mean that they'd probably able to make it around 225 if they're going 100 laps. So they still have 25 laps in that fuel window. But at this point in time, would it be smart to short pit if we're going to continue this green flag running?
The way the cautions are falling, not tonight, no cautions. So yeah, I might take a gamble.
Not if I'm the leader, Denny Hamlin. I think I might just push it for a while if I'm him. But some of these guys are going to have to take a chance if they want to do anything with him.
Roger.
Who will take a chance here at Richmond? Stay with us. More Nationwide Series racing here on Speed. Welcome back to the Bubba Burger 250, presented on Speed by Nationwide Insurance. Our aerial coverage is brought to you by DirecTV. To get the most sports in HD, call 1-800-DirecTV. Field spread out around this 3/4 mile racetrack here in Richmond, Virginia. Denny Hamlin has a 4.5 second lead over Ricky Stenhouse Jr., who has taken the 2nd spot back over.
Now I know Denny Hamlin, and he's riding along right now thinking, what's going to happen to me tonight? I mean, the guy's had some bad luck, and he's probably thinking that pretty seriously right now.
You think he's going to think he might get paid back for last night? Kyle Busch ran out of gas on the last lap, and he was able to win his own charity race last night. Maybe he thinks that fate will be against him tonight.
39 had some problems. Got almost into the wall. That's Charles Lewandowski.
He looks like he might be out of power.
I don't know, but he was about to be into the wall down here in 3 and 4.
No.
He had it up there rim riding.
Got her going again.
You know, he may have a flat tire, Mike, because I saw him go into turn 3 over there, and he just lost it.
Out of fuel.
Out of fuel.
So he'll make his way onto pit road.
Watch, you'll see him come into the picture back here. There he is.
Whoa, good save, though, right?
Way up in that loose stuff. You get that on those hot tires, it's like trying to drive on ice. Thing won't turn.
So the big Lewandowski made his way onto pit road. Now, after you run so many green flag laps, you can probably get a little frustrated. And I tell you what, Carl Edwards, we listened into his radio. He's been talking to his spotter about that lucky dog position. Here's what they had to say.
You say something, Carl? Let me know what's going on. I will. You're the lucky dog. I'll let you know if it changes. Well, I mean, just give me a heads up, you know, like how far ahead he is, stuff like that. Like I've been doing, he's still a half straightaway up. Yeah, it's just like you've been doing. Sorry to bug you, buddy.
You know what? You know what that reminds me of? It's like you call in and you say, "Is anybody watching this race besides me?" And that's what that sounded like.
Yeah, just like you've been doing. Sorry to bug you.
Now, we talked about a couple things at the beginning: communication and being calm.
Yeah.
That was good communication, but Carl was calm, but he wanted to be mean, didn't he?
That's constructive sarcasm is what that was. I tell you. But, you know, Carl he's accustomed to messing with Bob Osborne. He and Bob have got this thing going on, and he'll call Bob up and Bob will say, "I'm sorry," or somebody will say, "I'm sorry, he's not here right now, he went to the bathroom." Or Carl will say, "Got a vibration." Just kidding.
Yeah, just kidding. Roush Fenway Racing, the two white cars, the 66 of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. still running in the second spot. Chris Buescher filling in for Trevor Bayne, running in the 16.
He's up to the 12th spot, Rick. Just steady progression all night long. It's been really impressive to watch this kid tonight.
We talk about opportunity knocks. Chris Buescher getting into this car. Does this run give him another opportunity with Roush Fenway?
That's happened for some guys that have filled in for drivers and ended up taking the seat because they did such a good job.
Just remember about Matt Kenseth going to Dover and getting in Bill Elliott's car. Man, he took advantage of that, wound up in a Roush car all the time.
Ray Dunlap.
Pound out of the right rear for the number 33, up on the track bar. One round, Paul said it was better than it was on the last run, but still just a little bit tight in the center. They'll loosen it up by raising that track bar. 60 is coming in. Carl Edwards, too. He'll come to the pits.
Out of fuel.
He's out of fuel.
Out of fuel.
That is crazy.
So Carl Edwards, who came onto pit road on lap 125, obviously didn't get it full.
You know what? When they were trying to make up, when they were trying to get back on the lead lap, get that lucky dog, I guarantee you they didn't wait on fuel. They put tires on it and got him out of there, and it's bitten him.
Now he's going to get a speeding penalty. I believe that's too fast entering there. He doesn't have his tack on because he doesn't have his motor running. Looked like to me he came by there a little hot.
Well, he's hot, all right. That steam is coming out of the cockpit.
From between the ears.
That communication won't be calm anymore.
No, that's not going to sound good.
Denny Hamlin still out in front of the field. Stenhouse Jr. runs second. He's 5 seconds back. Al Mirola, Kenny Wallace, and Elliott Sadler, your top 5. We're hearing from NASCAR that he wasn't speeding. So that eye of yours, Michael, might be just a couple miles an hour off.
He's not now for sure.
He will be in a second, though.
This is going to cost him 4 or 5 laps, Darrell.
Oh, yeah, he's done for the night. I mean, we're here with 30 laps to go.
Ray.
Well, you're right. On the radio, Carl Edwards saying sometimes you have a good night, sometimes bad, not so good here. And on top of that, a slow pit stop, hung up on the left rear a little bit. He stalls it one more time. I don't think he even has the car running now. They'll have to push him backwards because he's so close to the front of the line. Little ether going in there. Remember, the guys cannot push the car past that white line.
Yeah, once it runs out of fuel, it takes a while to get it fired back up. And that, all that was a little fuel in the carburetor when it took off, and then it dies, and now you got to get it. I mean, it may not even fire back up.
It took me 4 laps at Talladega to get mine going again when I ran out of gas, so you're right.
The other thing at the beginning of this race, we talked with Carl Edwards. Ray asked him, why are you running these races when you can't run for a championship? But they can run for the Owners' Championship. Now, coming into this race, He was just behind the 20, only 8 points behind the 20 in the owner's points battle. And now take a look at what's happening. Denny Hamlin potentially winning this race. Carl Edwards struggling.
Rick, this is a game changer. Just like the championship, when Denny Hamlin ran out of fuel or had to pit for fuel at Phoenix last year, that was a game changer. This is a game changer for Carl Edwards.
Reed Sorensen on pit road and off. Denny Hamlin, we would expect to see him on pit road very soon.
We talked about losing 4 or 5 laps. That's exactly what happened to Carl Edwards. He's 5 laps behind in the 24th spot. So you're right, Daryl. Big loss for this team.
Big swing.
Hermie, what are you hearing on the 20 team?
Well, Rick, I'm like you. I'm expecting Denny Hamlin with this kind of lead to be on pit road by now as well, if not very quickly. But they are telling him to save fuel, that they are right on the number. Keep saving fuel, and they keep telling him how big a lead he's got. It looks like Denny Hamlin may try to make it the rest of the way on fuel. We'll see if he's able to do that, Rick.
Boy, I tell you, that's it. That is a gamble, but there are maybe that means there are other people that can make it as well. So he's painted himself in a box. But remember how he won the race last night? The guy that he was racing ran out of fuel.
Exactly. Had to go by Kyle Busch, who ran out of fuel in that late model charity race.
Be ironic if that happened tonight.
Elliott Sadler making his way onto pit road. Krista.
They knew they were getting close to their fuel window. Elliott saying, my car has definitely lost something. Not as good as I was earlier on the run, getting tight in the center. I need help in the center.
Pass-through penalty for the 60 team. Carl Edwards pitting outside the box.
All right, that's just pure frustration. I mean, he didn't really care. He was mad and he just took off.
Maintain your speed.
There's a lot going on right now.
Well, there is, and the thing that I'm hearing now, if Denny Hamlin thinks he can go the way, then you've got a situation where they're hearing that maybe Stenhouse Jr. or Al Mirola or Kenny Wallace or Algar, they're talking about it on the radio. We were listening in just moments ago. This is what Denny Hamlin had to say.
We got to save fuel. Yeah, we're going to be right on the number. Save me some fuel.
So are they saying that because maybe someone else is listening, or are they going to actually try to save fuel and make it over 125 laps?
You got to tell the driver. You can't wait till 10 to go and say, oh, by the way, this is not the time for, oh, by the way. Got to save some fuel. He's in a box. If he stops and the other guy doesn't, he's going to lose. If he goes on and runs out of fuel, he's going to lose. So he's in a box.
Ray, have they talked anything about fuel conservation with the 6?
Yeah, they've been asking him whether or not he's saving fuel. Mike Kelly asked him, and Ricky Stenhouse said, I cannot promise you that I've done a good enough job with that. And Kelly said, as of right now, it looks like we're 5 laps short. So to me, way too big of a gamble to try, even on a 3/4 mile racetrack.
Yeah, and a guy like Ricky Stenhouse, he doesn't have the experience to know how to save fuel. A guy like Denny Hamlin, he does. He's been here. He's done this. So Denny can make it. If Ricky's close, I don't think he'll make it.
Krista.
Well, this is interesting because if Denny Hamlin is close, his teammate, the 11 of Brian Scott, they are also close. You see him wiggling a little bit, but Kevin Kidd, the crew chief for Brian, had been talking the last 20 or so laps, reminding his driver, save me fuel, save me fuel. But way back on lap 200, Brian said, Kevin, do you have anything up your sleeve? And Kevin said, yes, I do, but I never would have thought it would be this. They last pitted on lap 126.
You know what? We talked about in the opening, this was the night for these. If Denny Hamlin has a problem, look who's lined up behind him.
All of them.
Stenhouse Jr., Al Mirola, Kenny Wallace. By the way, those are the only other cars on the lead lap. There's 4 cars on the lead lap now.
And you got Algar, you got you got a bunch of guys. You got Wise back here, Scott.
But don't you just love NASCAR racing? It's never over till it's over. Like you said earlier, we're talking about a 3/4 mile short track, and we're saving fuel. We're trying to figure out with a 10-second lead that Denny Hamlin has, he's trying to figure out how to win the darn race.
1 caution. We've had 1 caution tonight.
And see, normally you'd say, oh, don't worry about it, there'll be a caution. But there hadn't been any tonight. You can't depend on that tonight.
Side-by-side racing. Paul Menard on the inside of Eric Almirola in that 88. A bunch working right here. Brian Scott on the outside of Joe Nemechek.
And this is typical. This 2-wide, 3-wide racing, battling all over the place. Some guys trying to get all they can get because they pitted. Other guys trying to save all the gas they can because they don't want to pit.
Herbie, big gamble it seems like for Denny Hamlin here.
You're right, Rick, and the radio is getting very, very interesting for Denny Hamlin. Crew Chief Adam Stevens is telling him, do not run faster than 24 flat. He's been running in the 2340s and 50 range. They've asked him to back it down and do not break the 24-second barrier on the racetrack. Ray?
Kenny Wallace on the way in here. He needs a little bit of a splash of gas. They're not going to do any tires on this one. But Kenny came on and said, this car is so fast. I have been manhandling this thing. Remind ourselves to put an 8-to-1 steering box in this thing. I'm plumb beat.
Well, he hasn't had any brakes. One time they've really had just able to slow down and think about it. And that was way back on lap 125.
Now, when he says slow down to 24 seconds, that means you got to get out of the gas. That means you're coasting into the corner. That means you're not matting the thing when you get back into gas. You're squeezing back into gas. Slow down. He's got a lot of room here to slow down.
Kenny Wallace running in the 6th spot. He's a lap down. Right now, Allgaier.
Get back in your rhythm here. 15 hard laps. I need 15 hard laps.
12 laps to go. 3 cars on the lead lap. Allgaier, Menard, Kenny Wallace, Elliott Sadler, and Brad Keselowski. Those 5 cars are 1 lap down. Josh Wise 2 laps down, and Josh Wise is running 9th.
This is fun.
Unbelievable.
This is fun. It ain't over. No telling what the last 12 laps hold.
I still think this is a huge gamble for Denny Hamlin. Has a strong race car and is challenging these guys by going to fuel conservation.
But he has to, Rick. That's the only way he's going to win the race. That's what the other guys are going to do.
He's in a box. He's got people that might be able to make it, so he's got to try to make it, or he's not going to win either way. So he's in a win-win or a lose-lose. We just don't know yet.
And he only has a 4-second lead. That's the key to it. He's been dominant all night long, but when he started saving gas, all he has is a 4-second cushion. He can't come near pit road. If Stenhouse doesn't pit, then he can't pit, or he doesn't win the race.
One of 2 things could happen here. Stenhouse could close to make Denny have to go harder, or Stenhouse could close and he could run out of gas. In reality, they both could run out of gas trying to race for the win.
Exactly. And Almirola back there could be the benefactor. Or Paul Menard. How about Kenny Wallace? He's a lap down, but most recent on pit road, so we know he's going to have enough fuel.
As does Elliott Sadler. Elliott's been to pit road, so he's all set for gasoline.
Paul Menard was on pit road at lap 215, so we're fairly confident he's going to be able to make it. And he's on the lead lap. Now we've got problems with the 6. He looks to be out of gas, so he's slow on the racetrack. Ray.
They just told him, please back off and slow down a little bit, ease it in. Ricky said, doesn't matter, we're out, and they just missed the entrance to pit road. He is going to roll here into turn number 1. Not a chance he'll make it all the way back around.
No,
and that could bring out the caution.
That will be your caution.
He's on the apron of the racetrack trying to make his way through turns 1 and 2 right now, out of the racing groove, and still NASCAR has not. There it is. The yellow flag comes out. Caution comes out with 7 laps of racing to go.
I thought it would be pretty naive to think we wouldn't have a late caution.
Well, did you think that that the guy running second would run out of gas late?
I was afraid that he and the 11 both, or the 20 would both run out of gas trying to race each other for the win.
The second caution of the race has come out on lap 244.
But Rick, I mean, I don't know how many. I've been coming here a long time. I've never seen so much green flag racing. I don't think fuel mileage strategy has been a big factor in a lot of these races.
You never talk about fuel mileage when you say, hey, we're going to Richmond, the action track.
Yeah.
Let's talk about fuel mileage. It doesn't ever happen. And now here's what we've got. Denny Hamlin on the lead lap. Almirola and Menard also on the lead lap.
Denny Hamlin pits now. He's going to pit and get him some tires and some gas. Not going to worry about it. What do you think, Darrell?
I don't think he can. I just don't. I think right now he's kind of made up his bed.
We're going to wait on gas, but bring that second can so we can get this thing full. We don't want to add the nose weight.
They're putting some rear weight to it. I don't know which team that is, but I'm coming to get tires if I'm Denny Hamlin. He's going to be able to win the race. He's got the fastest car. If those other guys stays out, he passes them in the first turn.
If at all possible and I can make it, I stay out. I don't want to take a chance pit road penalty, something happened on my start. You know, I don't know. I just wouldn't. I'd stay out.
If Denny stays out in the 88 and the 33 pit, he doesn't win the race. These tires are old. They got to get some tires.
Ray, what did they say? What are they saying?
Eric Almirola's out of fuel. He said, tell the 7 to please give me a push. And he can push him back around right now as long as it's not on the last lap of the racetrack. But he is out of fuel. But he is losing those positions. If you do not keep your speed under yellow, all those positions are going by for the 88.
Well, those aren't positions. Those cars are all lapped, and he isn't. So if he can get that push from his teammate like you spoke of, Ray, get to pit road.
And on pit road comes the 20. So Denny Hamlin brings the lead car onto pit road.
When Almirola ran out of gas, that sort of made this a little bit easier of a call.
Paul Menard will be second. Kenny Wallace back on pit road. Hermie.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin bring this car down. 4 tires. Adam Stevens said, do not wait on the fuel, Denny. We don't need it all. You go on the jack on the left side. 4 tires for Denny Hamlin.
Paul Menard came on the radio and he said, we're going to have to do 2 tires to try to get some track position here. Then as that changed, Kevin Harvick said, absolutely not. Let's do 4. If we're going to compete with that 20, we're going to need 4. You see the 20 rolls by there. Not a big hurry for these guys. Apparently only a couple cars on the lead lap, but they're going to put 4 tires on that Rheem Chevrolet.
This will be the all-time world record for wave rounds. You'll never see the like of wave rounds.
Eric Almirola slowly letting that car down as they're
he needs
to ether in there to get it fired back up.
You know, that's gasoline they're pouring into the carburetor, and he needs to get her going if he's going to stay on the lead lap. The thing won't start, though. We watched Carl Edwards lose 4 laps. Look, just in the nick of time, he beats the pace car off pit road. I think. Did he?
Well, now the question is, did he speed, I guess?
Well, speeding's okay, but if he ran the red light, that's bad. But you can't speed to preserve a lap either.
If you speed to save a lap, you get a penalty.
Hermie Allgaier got the lucky dog. He's on pit road.
Yeah, Jimmy Ellis told him to stay on the flat part of the racetrack, not to starve the engine of fuel. And so they went got the lucky dog, came around 4 tires. And one comment he made that DW can add on, they're pumping the tires up almost like a qualifying run for this last little sprint to the finish.
Oh, yeah. That you don't want any. You want the tires just like they would be if you'd made a long run here, because you got to go, man.
You remember earlier in the race on a restart, Denny Hamlin had the lead. Eric Almirola took it away from him. He had a fast car on the short run. We're going to have a really short run to the checker. Can Almirola get Denny Hamlin?
We'll know in just a moment.
It's happening quickly. Next stop for the Nationwide Series is Darlington. Friday, May 6th, a night race at the Lady in Black at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on ESPN2. Then the next stop for the Camping World Truck Series, which lives right here on Speed. That is going to be Dover. Friday, May 13th, 8 p.m. from the Monster Mile.
Look at all those wave around cars. I love it.
19 of them, Daryl.
I know, Wade. Hurry, boys. Coming to the green.
Denny Hamlin, Paul Menard, Justin Allgaier.
Some penalty must be assessed to Almirola. He's falling back.
Slow. Michael, I think he sped, and if you speed out of the pits to save a lap, they penalize you.
Pace car is on pit road. The field back in the hands of Denny Hamlin. Paul Menard on the outside. Green flag back in the air. 2 laps of racing to go. All over the back bumper. Paul Menard bumps into the 20 as they come out of turn 2.
What a run off turn 2 Denny Hamlin made. Look at the gap he puts on Paul Menard.
Now through 3 and 4. This time the white flag goes in the air. Hamlin, then Menard.
Got a crash behind
across the stripe.
Big problem up here in turn 4.
They took the white flag before the caution came out. The caution comes out. Denny Hamlin will win the race.
The race is over.
Well, it was over anyway. Denny Hamlin was going to win.
It's really over now.
Denny Hamlin will make his way back to the start-finish line and see the yellow flag, but more importantly, the checkered flag.
How ironic is that? We have 3 cautions, and one of them ends the whole race.
One of them ends the race.
Big help this weekend.
Well, that makes Hamlin 2 for 2. Can he go for the sweep?
His 125th start, a milestone in the Nationwide Series. He gets his 11th win in the
That's
Nationwide
just a habit
Series.
of yours, isn't it? Getting their crew chief first win.
Second time he's been to Richmond for the Nationwide Series and goes to victory lane.
Last night he got out of his car, went over and gave a young man his helmet.
Yep.
Saw a kid over there, I love this, saw a kid with a Jimmy Johnson shirt on, took his helmet over and said, "This is for you. I'm going to bring you over to my side."
Bring you away from the dark side. He wanted to give him the helmet. Celebration taking place right in front of the grandstands, and celebration with you too, Hermie.
First career victory for Adam Stevens. They didn't make it easy for you. You had some decisions to make. Congratulations on your first career win.
Yeah, Denny's impressive here. That was quite a run by him. And these guys work so hard on these cars. Doug back at the shop and all the guys. It's just a privilege to work at Joe Gibbs Racing, honestly.
Well, these guys get a big win for Adam, and we're going to go to victory lane and celebrate.
Here we go, Adam.
We talk about some of the young guys behind the wheel. How about the young guy calling the shots on the pit box for Denny Hamlin? Big first career win coming with Joe Gibbs Racing and Denny Hamlin. Hamlin, Menard, Allgaier, Elliott Sadler, and Eric Almirola unofficially your top 5. Denny Hamlin dominant. He led 3 times for 199 laps. Stay with us. We'll see him in victory lane.
Family.
Welcome back. NASCAR Nationwide Series 250 on speed. This race brought to you by Nationwide Insurance, official sponsor of NASCAR. Call 1-866-500-5555 or your local agent to get a quote today. Let's go to Hermie Sadler.
Well, Chesterfield, Virginia native Denny Hamlin gets out of the car. Second career Nationwide Series victory here at Richmond, and it's very wet down here. Well, partner, I guess the weekend is as scripted so far. Win number 2 for the weekend. Congratulations on your win tonight in Richmond.
Yeah, just so proud to give Adam his first win in 20 car. These guys have been battling to get this team where it needs to be, and they definitely showed their performance tonight. Can't thank everyone from Sport Clips enough for supporting this program, supporting me on the Cup and Nationwide side. Just everyone at JGR, Toyota, Coke, Gillette, everyone from Nike and Jordan Brand, thank them for their support this year, and thank the fans. They've just been great for coming out here tonight. Wiley X, FedEx, everyone who puts their time and money into this program. It makes it worthwhile when you have days like this.
Talk about this race tonight. You were so dominant out there doing your thing, and all of a sudden Adam says, save fuel, save fuel. Then it turned into a little bit of drama. What goes through your mind as a driver when it's hammered down, then you got to get out of it?
It's just, it's hard to tell a driver, slow down. You know, that's completely out of our mentality, but he had a plan. He knew we were right there on the number. So I had a feeling we were going to make it. I felt pretty confident about that, but just, man, it's a great feeling to win here again in Richmond.
And I know you don't want to look ahead yet, but tomorrow night is a big race for you guys on the Sprint Cup Series, scheduled to get your season turned around. Last night may have helped tonight. Can tonight help tomorrow night?
I sure hope so. I think so. You know, we start, I think, 11th tomorrow. We started 11th today, and this car was just extremely strong. We thought our Cup car was really good yesterday, so we'll see how it all turns out.
That's Denny Hamlin, Crystal. He goes to victory lane.
Hermie down here with Elliott Sadler talking to his spotter, Brett, his crew chief, Ernie. I know that you had said, correct me if I'm wrong, a win here would be bigger than Daytona. You came close tonight.
I'm just so proud of my guys, so proud of my team. You know, I've never run really good here. I know it's my home track, but I don't run that good here. And Harvick called me this afternoon. He said, look, this is what I want you to do. This is a line I want you to run. This is what I want you to concentrate on. And it saved my butt. I ran so much better tonight listening to him. No wonder he's so good here and got so many top tens. But I got to thank One Main Financial. They've stepped up to the plate this year. Coming on board, had a lot of people here with them tonight to support us. Got a lot of fans here tonight. Thanks for Speed for carrying the race tonight. And, of course, thanks to Nationwide Insurance to do what they do for our sport. But it's a great night. We moved up in the points, and the run good here at Richmond feels really good.
Happy birthday tomorrow.
Thank you.
Moving up in the points is right. He is just 6 points back from Justin Allgaier as far as the points lead in the Nationwide Series. The celebration once again goes to Denny Hamlin, though. Could this be that confidence builder that he needs to jump start or re-jump start that Cup career, currently 17th in the point standings after chasing for the championship a year ago. Welcome back. NASCAR Nationwide Series 250 here on Speed. Your Motorsports Authority just wrapping up. Denny Hamlin grabs win number 11 in the Nationwide Series, and he does it right here in his home state at his home track. Here's your unofficial results. A change with the 88. Eric Almirola drops to the last car, or was the last car on the lead lap, so he is scored just behind Brad Keselowski now.
Yeah, that was for speeding off pit road, like we said, that you can't do that to save a lap.
Couple of great runs for Ryan Truex and David Strimmy. Strimmy with a top 10 finish. Ryan Truex's first top 10 finish as well.
How about Chris Buescher? Here's a kid who makes his first ever NASCAR start, finishes 17th at Richmond.
And you know, there are certain tracks all of us drivers have that are like medicine. They're what you need. You go there with a lot of confidence. For Denny Hamlin, this was a big shot in the arm tonight.
Continuing on through, Ricky Stenhouse Jr., after running out of fuel, will get scored 21st, again unofficially, but a very disappointing night for a guy who was leading the points when he came into this race, the 9th race of the season.
See Carl Edwards well down in the running order, making the championship hopes on the owner's side, right. taking a hit there.
Y'all be interested to see how they react to what happened here tonight.
Let's go trackside to Ray Dunlap.
Well, thank you, Rick. We want to hear from Paul Menard. Great run tonight in that number 33. You've had a chance to debrief with David Hyder, and I saw Kevin Harvick involved. Tell him what the driver input was that could have made this a win.
Well, we're so close. I mean, we're disappointed with second, obviously. Had a shot. That's all you can hope for. Denny just got a better restart than me. We were talking about what could have done differently, gear ratios and stuff, but just really proud of David Hyder, what Kevin and Delana have up there. Obviously, I have fast race cars, and you know, it's only the second time David and I worked together, and just a good group of guys, and it's a lot of fun.
Good run tonight for Paul Menard. Kevin Harvick will be back in this car when we return in the fall. Krista?
Yeah, Ray, catch up with Eric Almirola. Kind of an unfortunate end to the night for you guys. Had a fast car all night. Tell us how the end of the race unfolded and how you wound up 14th.
Well, I guess NASCAR decided that we should be the tail end of the one lap down cars. I'm not really sure how they decided that. I know we were speeding on pit road, but I had no motor. I was out of gas, so I had no choice but to go as fast as I could to try and make it to my pit box. We're way down here in turn 1, so man, really disappointed in that. I think the penalty should be tail end of the longest line, and I waited for everybody that was coming from pit road to pass me, and I was the last car that passed the start-finish line on the restart, and they're gonna have to explain that to me. I don't know how we can be 5th and then all of a sudden 14th, one lap down.
Well, Eric Almirola, very disappointed with the finish. Had a good race car and did not get the finish he wanted. Rick?
Well, Hermie, while Eric Almirola is upset, Justin Allgaier is pretty ecstatic because the way this points battle has seesawed back and forth the last few weeks, you're still on top of the board. What was your storyline tonight?
We had a great night. The Wolfpack Reynolds Chevrolet was not exactly where we wanted it to be at, but the guys did a great job. Jimmy Elledge made an awesome pit call there. We stayed out, and it worked out to our advantage, obviously, and a solid top 5. So excited about that. But as you and I were just talking, I mean, this series right now is awesome. I mean, Nationwide Insurance does so much for our sport, and the racing tonight. I've not seen a race here with no cautions like they had. So that was it was a pretty long night behind the wheel, but a great one, and it's good to be on top of the point standings and going into Darlington next week. When anything can happen, it's just like Daytona and Talladega. So I'm excited.
Hey, now you have the big bullseye on your back. I mean, you've had it the last couple of weeks. So how do you fend off all these hungry wolves behind you?
I'll tell you what, Elliott Sadler has been steadily coming every week. And, unfortunately, Ricky was probably going to be the points leader after tonight, and they ran out of fuel. So hated to see that for them. You never want to see that happen to anybody. So you still got a lot of races, and we still got a lot left. But it's good to see that there's a little bit of a gap in between, 1st through 5th, whereas we've been so close here the last couple of weeks. So a little bit of breathing room, but only 6 points, so not a whole lot.
Okay, don't breathe too long. They'll be racing next week at Darlington. Rick.
Thanks, Krista. Take a look at our unofficial point standings. After 9 races, Allgaier has a 6-point lead over Elliott Sadler now. 9 points separate your top 3. I love this point system.
I think the interesting thing, though, is look at Trevor Bayne. Even though he wasn't here tonight, still up there in the top 10.
Yeah, if he gets better and is able to be in Darlington, he's still got a chance to win the championship, and that's a story we'd love to see happen.
Get back in it.
Denny Hamlin
on a green-white checker finish, takes the white flag, and caution comes out behind him. That's why he's standing in victory lane with the hardware. Speed's coverage of tonight's race from Richmond is presented by Nationwide Insurance. Enter this code at codespotter.com today. And brought to you in part by Polaris, the hardest working, smoothest riding off-road vehicles now at your local dealer. A 250-lap race, and Denny Hamlin starts it in the 11th position, but methodically picked off driver after driver.
He just marched his way to the front. He was the only driver that started outside of the top 10 that raced into the top 10 in the first 50 laps, and he drove all the way to the front.
And what I liked about him all night long was he never really forced anything. He just took his time, and once he got in the lead, when people would gain on him a little bit, he just stepped it up a notch.
That was the pass for the lead, getting by the 60, and then obviously, when you go to short track racing, you see a little bumping, banging, and sliding.
Yeah, get a little sideways every now and then.
Check out Brian Scott. Now, this guy said, excuse me, but you're in my way. David Strimmy pushing people around. There's our point leader. You're the point leader. You're even sideways.
Our first caution came on lap 125, and it was Kelly Byers that went around in the 18.
Yeah, he just got in on the inside there too hot, and they just spun the car around. It's a shame.
Carl Edwards' problems for that team, came onto pit road and then couldn't get it refired, and then this is where they're working outside of the pit box, so they got a penalty flag.
Yeah, but I cannot understand how they ran that car out of gas, except maybe he was trying to get back on the lead lap and they didn't get it full.
Well, his teammate ran out of gas too, so must have miscalculated a little bit there on the Roush camp, because there's another Roush car out of fuel late in the going.
Those FR9 engines must burn a little extra fuel.
It was the 28 of Derek Cope that went around when we were on the last lap, and so that brought out the yellow and the checkers for the 20 of Denny Hamlin. The team celebrating the first win for his young crew chief. And then the ticker tape parade began.
That's a beautiful shot. I like that.
I love that.
Confetti in the air. It was still raining when we were talking with Justin Allgaier about 10 minutes after that took place. Now let's go back down to Krista.
Well, it was a hard-fought top 5 for Brad Keselowski. I guess you'll take that, right?
Yeah, I don't know how we got 5th. Just the way it all cycled with the pit stops, and who would ever thought a nationwide race would almost go green? You know, I think like 1 or 2 cautions. So, you know, we just didn't have a long run car at all. After about 30, 40 laps, the tires would fall off and they'd start to cord, and kind of the same thing we fought all year. So, right by the end there, you know, we pitted early, got back out, cycled, and somehow it came out. I'm not even sure. I got to watch the race myself to try and figure this one out. But happy for my discount tire and Ruby Tuesday team to get the car back to that position and get a top 5 out of the night. But we've seen a little bit more speed out of our Dodges, and we'll be good.
The good thing is you can watch it back because he DVR'd it on Speed.
I did.
Congratulations still all around for Denny Hamlin as they continue with the hat dance in victory lane. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the NASCAR Nationwide Series 250 on Speed, just concluding. It is the 20 of Denny Hamlin who continues his celebration. Richmond International Raceway, his home track, and he gets his 11th career win. We had a lot of fun, I tell you, bringing you this race. The next stop for the Nationwide Series goes to Darlington Friday, May 6th, and heads back over to ESPN2. That race will be shown at 7:30 p.m. Eastern. Then the trucks right here on Speed. Our next stop, Dover, May 13th, and that will begin at 8 o'clock Eastern. Let's go back trackside to Hermie.
Well, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. battling for the lead for the most part of this race, and end up 21st tonight. I know you're disappointed with that. Tell us how it all unfolded to end you up 21st.
Yeah, we ran well in this race last year, or the fall race with the Mustang, and you know, we came here expecting a good finish, and we had a really good car. Our Mustang was fast all night, but I guess we just didn't get the fuel mileage that everybody else was getting. You know, I guess you kind of got to trade off when you got a lot of horsepower that Roush Yates builds, and you know, it's a tough one, but you know, we'll swallow it and go on to the next one. We bounce back after Talladega. We'll bounce back after this weekend, and we'll be strong all year.
What's the biggest difference? I know fast race cars is the easy answer, but a lot more confidence in this race team and a lot higher expectations happening in a short period of time. What's been the biggest turnaround for you guys as an organization?
As an organization, I think it's just a testament to how hard Roush Fenway and Ford Racing and all the engineers have worked over like simulation and our engine package and chassis package. And you know, for our team, it's been you know, we're staying focused. We know we can do it. We've got the speed, and if we stay focused and minimize our mistakes, we know we can win this championship and win some races. So that's what we've been focused on all year. And you know, we get sidetracked every now and then, like maybe tonight, missed on fuel mileage or whatnot. You know, we'll have to get back to the shop and figure it out. But you know, we can't complain about how we ran. This car was fast all night. We were up front, and you know, just came up a little bit short.
That's Ricky Stenhouse. He has been a factor all year this year, and I think we have not yet heard the end of Ricky Stenhouse this year.
And it looked like disgust on Ricky Stenhouse Jr.'s face, but he's still 5th in the point standings, 17 points out of the lead. And what a great time we had here on Speed covering this nationwide race.
We set a record tonight, a race record, 108 miles an hour for 250 laps. So it was a record-setting night on Speed.
Yeah, I had a record amount of fun. Being able to call the Nationwide Series race with you two cats, it was a really good time. And, you know, we had a lot of green flag action, and that made it fun.
Well, short track racing and obviously the action track just sets up for good side-by-side racing. We had that not always for the lead, but we had it for position back behind Denny Hamlin, who dominated. When it was all said and done, the 20 of Denny Hamlin through the smoke gets win number 11, dominates from Richmond International Raceway here on Speed.